Good morning, students. Good morning, class. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Vanakkam, etc., etc., etc. So I am again C. Ankit Sharma, and we will going to start today's session. Today we will complete our chapter number 2, that is residential status. So because in last session we were in the process to understand the meaning of resident or non-resident, etc. So I hope you all must revise that. So because today we will take MCQ also, I told you that I'll take your MCQ in the starting of the lecture, but I'm thinking that let me complete the topic. Then after the topic, I guess after the break, after 8:30 of our break, then I'll take your MCQ test. And I already told you, have a paper, pen, and a calculator whenever I'll take your MCQ test, because in residential status, need a calculator to all doing good and must be studying very hard, and students are saying good morning, good morning, good morning. Of course, everybody have a good morning. So before starting the class, let's share a simple thing with you, as I always do, and this is for you. Of course, you all can see who is he. He is Swami Vivekananda. Okay, we all know him, of course. So he said a very important thing: to achieve your goal, you should arise, awake, stop not, till the goal is reached. I hope most of all, you must all have read that quotation earlier also. But for our CA profession, for your CA journey, this is actually what you should follow. Arise, awake, and you should not stop till you are going to be a chartered accountant. I personally feel if you are not going to leave CA, CA is not going to leave you. So you have to become a CA. You might be not going to clear it one attempt every group, but still you should promise yourself that one day I will be a chartered accountant. And that is going to be actually, that is really going to motivate you to become a chartered accountant. So with this quotation, that arise, awake, stop not, till the goal is reached. Let us start today's topic. In last class, in last session, we were discussing about the provision for residential status of an individual. So in that provisions, we have completed the meaning of resident or non-resident. In case of individual, we have already discussed that in case of individual, there is normal resident and one is deemed resident. In case of normal resident, there were two basic conditions. Either you have to be in India for equal to or more than 182 days in previous year, or more than equal to 60 days in previous year, plus more than equal to 365 days in 4 previous year. Clear? Then there was 3 special cases. In number 1 special case, if you are an individual, you are a citizen of India, you are going outside India for job or as a crew member of an Indian ship, then you will be treated as a resident if you are in India for more than equal to 182 days. Clear? If you are an individual, those are citizen or person of Indian origin. Those individuals who reside outside India but comes to visit India in previous year will be treated as resident only if they are in India for more than equal to 182 days. Clear? So in special case number 1 and special case number 2, there was, you need to check only condition number 1. If condition number 1 is fulfilled, he or she will be a resident. Otherwise, he or she will be a non-resident. Clear? There is a third special condition which is applicable for individual, citizen or POIO, those reside outside India and having a total income exceeding 15 lakh from Indian resources. And if they come to visit India, then there are 2 conditions. First one is more than equal to 182 days, or second is a new condition which says more than equal to 120 days and more than equal to 365 days in last preceding 4 years. So if any one of has been fulfilled, then he or she will be called a resident also. So we have discussed it, of course. Then there's a concept of deemed resident, and it say if you are an individual citizen and your total income exceeding 15 lakh rupees from Indian resources and you have not paid tax on that income outside India, then you will be treated as a deemed resident. We have discussed it. I hope you all must revised it, and I hope you must be getting what I am trying to say. Then if you become a resident, the further we discuss that if you become a resident, you might be a resident or ordinary resident in India or a non-resident of India. That is a resident but not ordinary resident. We should write it like resident but not ordinary resident in India. So there are 4 conditions. If you fulfill any of them, you will be called a resident but not ordinary resident in India. Condition 1 we have discussed already. That is, you are in India less than 730 days. Less than 730 days in India in 7 preceding previous year. So if you are in India less than 730 days in 7 preceding previous year, you will be called a resident and not ordinary resident. Now moving further, condition number 2 we are going to discuss. Now condition number 2 says, I'll take a new sheet for you, of course. So now we are discussing that if you are a resident and after being a resident, either you are a ordinary resident, and ordinary resident, or you will be a resident but not ordinary resident. First case we have discussed is if you are in India for less than 730 days in 7 preceding previous year, you will be called a resident but not ordinary resident. Now condition 2 is very important. Condition 2 is very important. It says that if you are a non-resident, do not get confused. We are taking over here that you are a resident and it says you are a non-resident. So listen completely what I am saying. If you are a non-resident for more than or equal to 9 times out of last 10 preceding previous years. So this non-resident condition is not for previous year, because in previous year you should be a resident. Then only we'll move further for resident or not ordinary resident. If you are non-resident in previous year, then the answer completed. So we are moving if you are a resident. So condition 2 says that if you are a resident in previous year, then if you are less than 730 days, you will be called a resident and not ordinary resident. But if you did not fulfill condition number 1, then we will check either you are fulfilling condition number 2, and condition 2 says if you are a non-resident, for 9 years or more out of 10 preceding previous year. So you have to check now the last 10 preceding previous year residential status. In last 10 preceding previous year, if you were a non-resident for at least 9 years or all 10 years, at least 9 years we need you to be a non-resident, then you will be called a resident but not ordinary resident. For example, what I am saying, just understand this. Previous year is 21-22. So in previous year, of course, what you should be? You should be a resident. That's why only we are going to find it out whether you are a RNOR or ROR. So we are, for the purpose of point number 2, needs to check this condition in 10 preceding previous year. That means 20-21, 19-20, 18-19, 17-18, 16-17, 15-16, 14-15, 13-14, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more years, 12, 13, and 11, 12. So what condition number 1 was saying that you have to be in India for less than 730 days in 7 preceding previous year. Now, what is condition 2 says? That you have to be non-resident for at least 9 years out of these 10 preceding previous year. So you have to be a non-resident for at least 9 years out of that 10 preceding previous year. So if you fulfill this condition, you will be called a resident, but not ordinary resident. Let me explain you with an example, of course. For example, there is Mr. A foreign citizen. This condition generally look like, oh God, that's very difficult because we have to check now the status for last preceding 10 years, but practically it is not so. You do not need to check every year residency status, because in question, the examiner will frame it like that you can easily find out that the assessee is fulfilling condition number 2 or not. I am giving you example of your previous examination question. The example I am writing, that is actually a previous year question which has been asked in your exam. So Mr. A foreign citizen, visit India for 110 days every year. You might have been remembered that in the last session, I have taken an example in which the person was coming into India for 100 days every year. Now I have changed it for 110 days every year from last 10 years. So you need to find the residential status of that person. So because he is a foreign citizen, so obviously if he is a foreign citizen, then the advantage of special condition has been lost. So we have to check it out first that he is a resident or not. So for finding out that whether he is a resident or not, we have to check the both basic condition. First one is more than equal to 182 days in previous year. He's not fulfilling that because he's only in India for 110 days. Second condition says that in previous year, he or she must be in India for 60 days, and plus in last 4 previous year, they must be in India for equal to more than 365 days. Clear? So now he is fulfilling this condition because in previous year, he is in India for 110 days. And if you will find out for last 4 preceding year, so he will be in India for 440 days. So he is fulfilling both conditions, so he will be a resident. Now, because he is a resident, now we will check whether he is a ROR or RNOR. For RNOR, first we will check he should be less than 730 days in 7 PPY. So in this example, he is in India for 770 days. So we need him to be in India for less than 730 days, but he is in India for 770 days. So he is technically not fulfilling condition number 1. Then we will move on to condition number 2. What was this? That he must be a non-resident for more than equal to 9 years out of 10 preceding previous year. Then now we will see, is he fulfilling this condition or not? So now I will check this condition in every year. Now I have to find it out in this last 10 preceding previous year. Is he a non-resident for 9 years or more? So let's see in this year. If I'll check that Mr. A was a resident or non-resident in 20-21, we will not check in this because in this year he is a resident due to fulfilling this condition. Now we need to check in 10 preceding previous year. So in 2021, I'll also check as per the basic condition whether he is fulfilling it or not. So he is in India for 110 days in this year. So he is not fulfilling basic condition 182. Now I will check second condition in this year. So he is in India for 110 days in 20-21. And in last 4 years, he was in India for automatically 440 days again. So he's in India for 110 days in previous year 2021. And if we'll find out in last preceding 4 years, He was also in India for 440 days. So he will be a resident in this year. And I wanted non-resident. Then and again in 1920, he will fulfill this condition plus again 440 days in these 4 preceding previous year. So he will also be a resident in this year also. So understand, if somebody is a resident for 2 years in preceding 10 years, if somebody is a resident for 2 years, then this condition now cannot be fulfilled. Why? Because in 10 years, we need him for at least 9-year non-resident. But if in initial year first and initial year second, if he or she become non-resident resident for 2 years, that means now this condition cannot be fulfilled because the remaining years are 8 years. So if in all 8 years he becomes non-resident, still this condition cannot be fulfilled. That's why I was saying that in examination it was not that difficult, because whenever you will find 2-year resident, then you will not need to calculate the other years, because you can write it down. Then he is not fulfilling condition number 2 also, because he is already 2-year resident out of 9 years. So this condition number 2 cannot be fulfilled. So in examination, question will be framed like this, that you will not need to check every year status. Clear? So that was the condition. We need to check it like this. So in examination, it will be given that in last preceding 10 years or 11 years or 12 years, how many days he was in India. So you have to find it out whether he is fulfilling condition number 1, or if he is not fulfilling condition number 1, then whether he is fulfilling condition number 2 or not. So in condition number 2, I am giving you an advice. When you will find out that person is resident for 2 years, you can stop your calculation and you can say, yes, condition number 2 is also not fulfilled. I hope it clear. Let me see, is somebody asking something? Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, Siddharth, good morning, Vivek, good morning, Path, good morning, Vedant, good morning, Shubho, Sandeep, Vikas, good morning, Tulsidas, good morning, everybody saying good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Kindly Dorji from Bhutan, good morning, kindly Dorji from Bhutan, okay. Imanshi saying ICAI module says 729 days for 7 previous year. Oh God, Imanshi, what are you asking? I am also saying the same thing. I am saying less than 730 days. So if I am saying less than 730 days, that means 729 or less. So that's the same thing you should understand. If somebody is saying less than 730, then from which date should start? It will be like 729 or less. So they are both same thing. Okay. Okay. So now we will move on to the third condition of this situation. Clear? So in residential status, we are now on to RNOR provision, of course. First was less than 730 days, or we can write it loud like this, 729 or less. They both are same thing. Okay. Or second condition is like this, 9 years non-resident out of 10 preceding previous year. I hope it's clear. Now the third condition is very, very, very simple. It says if you are a deemed resident, if you are a deemed resident under section 6(1)(a), we have already discussed it. So deemed resident does not need to fulfill anything. They will always be treated as resident and not ordinary resident. That's a fixed provision. If you are a deemed resident, you need not to check condition 1, 2 or any other condition. Deemed resident will always be called resident and not ordinary resident. That's a fixed condition. So that has been done easy. Now last condition number 4. This condition is applicable. Now listen carefully. This condition is applicable for that special case person I have told you. In that special cases of person, the third category. That means for those individual Those are citizen or person of Indian origin. Those come to visit India having total income exceeding 15 lakh rupees from Indian resources. Remember? So fourth condition is for that person only. This is applicable only for that person. So this person become resident when they fulfill either 182 days condition or more than equal to 120 plus more than equal to 365. Remember? So this person becomes resident when he fulfill any of them. Now for this person, a special provision has been made that this person will also be treated as a resident or not ordinary resident if he or she is in India for more than 120 days in previous year, but less than 182 days in previous year. So if this person is in India for more than equal to 120 days, but less than 182 days in India in that previous year, then he will also be treated as a resident but not ordinary resident. Let me tell you, the other person except this category person, a normal individual, like a normal individual, if he is a resident, then he or she will be resident but not ordinary resident only if they are fulfilling any of this condition. Third condition is only for deemed resident. And this is applicable for that special category, B category, third category person. Those who are Indian, citizen or POIO comes to visit India, more than 15 lakh Indian resources income. And if they stay in India for more than equal to 120 days in previous year, but less than 182 days, then they will be called a resident and not ordinary resident. Clear? So these were four conditions. If you fulfill any of them, you will be a RNOR. And if you are not fulfilling any of them, then you will be called a, of course, resident and ordinary resident. I have discussed it in a detailed diagram also. Remember, in case of this fourth category, he or she will be a resident and not ordinary resident if he fulfill this. And the first and second condition will be also applicable for fourth category. So for normal person, 1 and 2 is applicable, but fourth is not applicable. But if you fall in this category, for example, if Mr. A having total income of 20 lakh and he is a citizen of India who reside outside India and comes to visit India for more than 120 days in previous year and more than equal to 365 days in 4 previous year, then of course he or she will be called a resident. Now if you are going to check it, now this is a special category person who become a resident. So if you want to find it out now that whether he is a resident and not ordinary resident or not, then he has on all 3 categories option. If he is less than 730, he will be a RNOR. If he fulfill this condition, he will be a resident and not ordinary resident, and he has also a special condition of this. More than equal to 120 days and less than 182 days. So if you are a normal person like Mr. B, who reside in India, like me, for example, for me or for you, we are fall in the normal category. So if we are a normal category resident or a special category 1 or 2 resident, then to find out whether we are a resident or not ordinary resident, we have only condition 1 and 2. But if you are a this category resident, then you have 3 conditions to find out whether you are a resident or not ordinary resident. That's why I was saying that individual provisions are little complicated, and that's why it is important for your examination. In personal life, in your professional life, there is a universal rule. Whatever is difficult, that is important. Whatever is important, that is difficult. I have learned it from my so many years experience that this is true in all cases. If something is easy, if something is free, that's not important. If something is really, really difficult, that means it's more important. If something is easy, that's not that important. The chart accountant course is difficult, very difficult. That's why that is important. It's valuable. If some course is not that difficult, like graduation is not that difficult, that is not that valuable. In your personal life also, whatever is difficult, that is important, and whatever is important, that is technically difficult. Except your parents, because you got them very easily and we do not value them, but technically they are the most important thing in our lives. So our family, that is not that difficult to get, but still they are more important. Otherwise, for your professional life, if there is any chapter which is difficult, that means automatically it is important. If there's any question which is difficult, that is technically going to be very important. If there's any subject, if there's any course which is difficult, that is going to be, of course, important for your life. So there is nothing easy in your life. And if something is easy, then it's going to be valueless. So for your next 4 years are very important. Why I say that this journey is very important? Because this is difficult. If you pass this journey, if you next 4 years, you study well, you become a chartered accountant, then after that 4 year, the next 40 years of your life will be settled. You will be happy that you have done something great. And in next 4 years, if you are taking your life easy, you are doing easy things, you are not studying properly, you are living your life very easy, then let me tell you, for the next 40 years going to be very difficult for you. So that's the choice you have. Either work hard for 4 years and enjoy your life for 40 years. Either enjoy your life for next 4 years and just work hard for next 40 years. Choice is your, calls is your. I preferred the 4 years of hard work and I'm enjoying my life, of course. So let's see, the query session will move later. This diagram I have prepared, and that is a complete diagram. And this 3-4 condition, let's move on to our diagram of notes. And in that diagram, everything is crystal clearly written. So for resident or becoming a not ordinary resident, you have condition number 1, you have condition number 2, condition 3 is for deemed resident under section 6(1)(a), and they'll always resident and not ordinary resident. Clear? Now, condition number 4, and I have written for a special case B point, third category. They have 3 options for becoming a resident and not ordinary resident. That if they are in India for more than equal to 120 days, but less than 182, they will be a R and OR. Other condition B are same, those are written in point number 1 and 2. So if individual special case B3 fulfill any of A, B, C condition, then he or she will be a R and OR. You have to remember it very carefully. If individual does not fulfill any above condition, then he or she will be a resident and ordinary resident. Note, we have already discussed section 6(1) applicable, then section 6(1)(a) will not be applicable. Yes, if somebody has become resident as per section 6(1), then he or she will not be treated as deemed resident. For example, if Mr. A, who has an Indian source of income of rupees 20 lakh, Indian source income rupees 20 lakh, and he has not paid tax anywhere, and he does not come to visit in India, then he or she will be a deemed resident. But suppose if that person comes to visit India for 200 days, in previous year, then what? So if he's coming to India for 200 days, then he's fulfilling basic condition number 1, that is 182 days or more. So he will automatically become a resident as per section 6(1) basic condition. Then we do not need to classify him as a deemed resident. So if somebody become resident as per section 6(1), then 6(1)(a) cannot be applicable. So we can say section 6(1) overrules section 6(1)(a). Note says visit not mandatory in case of deemed resident. We have already discussed that also. So now, as per residential provision, we have almost complete all the residential provision to find out somebody is resident or not. There's some missing parts are there also. So I am taking that. Somebody asked me to use Microsoft Whiteboard. So yeah, I'm doing that. So you might have remembered that for residential purpose, I have made a diagram, and in that diagram there was individual provision, there was HUF provision, there was company provision, and there was partnership firm, or we can say others. Clear? We have done this, we have done this, we have done this also. In this case, we have discussed non-resident we have discussed two kinds of resident, that is normal resident or deemed resident. In this case, we have discussed basic condition resident, normal cases, and then special cases, 3 special cases. Then if they become deemed resident, we have discussed, and if they become resident, then we have discussed how they will be treated as R, ROR, and N, R, NOR. In this, we have discussed, of course, condition number 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now, we left in case of HUF. We have discussed that when HUF will be treated as a resident or non-resident. And it is based upon the control and management. So if control and management was wholly outside India, then it will be, of course, non-resident. If it is wholly or partly in India, then it will be called a resident. And I have told you that HUF classification also need to be done like this, ROR or RNOR. And I have told you that when we will finish our individual provision, then we will discuss about this. Now, listen very carefully. The provision of finding out whether HUF is a resident ROR or a resident and not ordinary resident are same as per individual provision. So this is like over here. There are two conditions and it will be checked upon Karta. I have told you what is the meaning of Karta. Karta means the elder co-partner of a joint Hindu family or a Hindu undivided family. He or she will be called Karta. Co-partner, elder, male or female member technically. Generally, we take male members, but there is some judgment in which if the elder female member is a co-partner, she can also be treated as a Karta. So these conditions will be applicable on Karta because Karta is an individual, is a human being. So whether HUF is a ROR or RNOR, for that purpose, we need to check the status of Karta. So if Karta is less than 730 days, so if Karta is less than 730 days in India, in 7 PPY, or he is 9 out of 10 years more than non-resident in 10 PPY, then HUF will be called Karta. But now listen carefully. The department just changed this condition into a passive manner. Technically, we find out a resident as like a RNOR when he or she fulfill these conditions. But under HUF, something different has been done. What has been done? See, let me explain you. So in case of HUF, they do not technically explain the meaning of resident or not ordinary resident. They technically explain it like this. Income tax made provision that HUF will be Karta, the HUF will be resident or not ordinary resident. That will be explained in a different manner like this. If you find this, if you need to find that HUF is a resident, then you need to check the condition upon Karta. And now the condition has been explained that when a HUF will be resident or ordinary resident. They did not explain when HUF will be resident or no. When the HUF will be resident or not ordinary. They explain when HUF will be resident and ordinary resident. And now what the provision has been made like this. That if Karta is in India for equal to or more than 730 days in 7 PPY, provision has been reversed. It says if Karta is in India for more than equal to 730 days or more. So we read it over here like this, less than 730. So what is the opposite of this condition? The opposite of this condition is this. So they explained it like in a reverse manner. That HUF will be treated as a resident or ordinary resident if the Karta is in India for more than equal to 730 days in 7 preceding previous year. And Karta needs to fulfill both conditions. So he must be in India for more than equal to 730 days and 7 PPY. That means he is not fulfilling this condition. So somebody is not fulfilling this condition, that means he needs to fulfill this condition. So they made provision in reverse mode, and he has to fulfill the other condition also. And which is this? He is in India for at least 2 years, resident out of 10 preceding previous year. He is in India for 2 years or more, resident out of 10 preceding previous year. So what the condition was here, that he or she must be non-resident for equal to or more than 9 years out of 10 years. So what is the reverse of this condition? This. So these condition which has been prescribed for individual, technically they are same as applicable for Karta case, but in a reverse manner. So in numerical, if you solve it like this or this, the answer will be same. Either you fulfill any one of them, or if you fulfill both of them. If you fulfill both of them, he will be called a resident or ordinary resident. If he does not fulfill both of them, then he or she will be called a resident, but not ordinary resident. But why I am telling you that you should learn these provision also, because if in theoretical question they ask, because in numerical you can solve this question in any way, whether it's this condition or this condition, answer will be same. But if theoretical provision they asked that explain the provision of residential status in respect of HUF, then in theoretical provision you have to write out these conditions like this. I have already made that in the diagram also, of course. So they are slightly confusing, but technically there is no new condition. They just technically reverse those conditions so that you might get confused that you are reading a new condition. But if you understand, then you will find it out that the same condition we are discussing in a reverse manner. Here are the provision for HUF, control and management, that is business meeting. We already knew this. Then it says, wholly partly in India, you are a resident. Wholly outside India, you are a non-resident. If you are a resident, then to becoming a resident and ordinary resident, we have to check these conditions on Karta. And the condition is, if you more than equal to 2 years resident out of 10 preceding previous year, and understand you have to fulfill both conditions, because if you are not fulfilling any of them, that means you are fulfilling resident and not ordinary resident condition. For example, if you are in India for less than 730 days, that means 725 days. That means you fulfilled resident and not ordinary resident condition number 1. So you will automatically be called a R and OR. So if you want to be a resident and ordinary resident, then you have to fulfill both conditions. Remember, it is and. So if Karta is more than equal to 2 years resident out of 10 preceding previous year, and if Karta is more than equal to 730 days in 7 PPY. So if Karta fulfill both conditions, then HUF is ROR. If Karta does not fulfill both or fulfill any one condition only, then HUF will be called a resident and not ordinary resident. So that was how we need to understand the residential status of these individual HUF company and other. Last one provision has been left in case of residential status of these person. Then we will move on to our notes. We will read all these provision via notes, and the other topic, the incidence of tax, we will discuss. So the last concept is coming, and that is for in case of crew member. Like in last session, I have told you that if you are Mr. A, and I have told you that the day of departure and the day of arrival, they technically treat it as in India. Fine. So the day you leave India and the day you come into India, they both treated as stay in India. You might be get confusing by the provision we just discussed about the R, NOR and ROR. of HUF in individual. So just revise it once, and when we will do practical question, I have told you, in numerical question, if we learn all the provision by heart, even you will not able to understand them until otherwise you are going to solve the practical question. Like the rates of tax provision, we have discussed in basic concepts. So when I explain you about the rates of concept, the 2,50,000, 3 lakh rate, etc., then you might learn it. You might learn it by heart. But when you actually solve the question, then you will understand what is the implication, and you actually understand the meaning, the concept whole. So exactly in this case, if you are getting confused, you need to do one thing, only revise the chart, revise the provision, and then I'll solve some question regarding status. Then you will find out that is a very easy topic. You just need to calculate the days, that's it. And almost everything has been given in question. You just need to understand what the information has been given, what the provision you has actually learned, and you have just to combine it to find out the solution. So I was talking about the special provision, that is, in a normal case, the day of departure and arrival is treated as stay in India. But if you are a crew member of an Indian ship, the provision has been reversed. Technically, it's reversed. In case of crew member of an Indian ship, the day they entered into the ship technically, and the day they left it, the board they assume as outside India. So technically there are opposite provision. The day of departure and the day of arrival is treated as stay in India in case of normal person. But in case of crew member of an Indian ship, the day of technically arrival and the day of departure, that is technically treated as outside India. We call that a signing of date and cargo discharge date. So the both days are included in India in case of crew member, outside India in case of crew member, and in normal case, they are treated as stay in India. So we have example of all these provisions. We have the theoretical provisions also. So one by one, we are going to discuss the theoretical provision, what we have learned from last one session. So the diagram really helps you to understand the provision. Now, when we will learn this provision, then you will understand that the diagram actually made your concept clear. So one by one, we are moving on to our provision sheet. Fine. So let me take some queries, of course. We have already completed our 40 minutes of class. Okay, so let's see if there is any query. Okay, I've solved Imanshi query. Okay, what if an individual is an ordinary resident in the 10th year? Dorji, are you asking about the 10th year, like preceding 10th year, or what? For the condition what we just discussed about the RNOR and ROR, you need to check in last 10 preceding year whether he is a resident or non-resident. The ordinary resident or RNOR information is irrelevant in that case, or might be I'm not getting your query correctly. So please write it in detail so I can understand what exactly you want to ask. All clear, good morning. If the person is non-resident, who's asking Millie Gupta, sir, if a person is non-resident for 9 years and 3 months, will he still be considered as RNOR? Let me tell you, in 10 preceding previous year, if you are non-resident for 9 years, then you will be treated as resident and not ordinary resident. There is no months status. Why are you written and 3 months? You will be a resident or a non-resident for year-wise. There is not possible that I can say I am 2 months non-resident. No, you have a complete year, and in that year you have to find out whether you are a resident or non-resident. So if question is some part is wrong, you cannot say it 9 year or 3 months. I am saying if it is a 9 year non-resident, then definitely you will be a resident and not ordinary resident, because the condition is 9 year or more. So if you achieve the target of 9 year of becoming a non-resident, you will be a resident and not ordinary resident. Okay, good morning. Vedant is asking condition number 2 again. Vedant, please scroll back the video. You can see the condition number 2 as many times as you want. Okay. Notes I uploaded not opening. That might be some technical error your part. Otherwise, all students might have been downloaded it and it's opening also. What is deemed resident? You can see the last class. In the last lecture, I explained what is the deemed resident. That's what I am saying, Navneet. That's you need sincerity to becoming a chartered accountant. So do not jump into the class and ask what is deemed resident. When you didn't take the earlier class, please do not do so. This is really not good for you. I'm just giving you an advice that this is not the way we should ask queries until we have taken the other classes also. Otherwise, all the best. Okay, Millie is asking again, sir, what does more than equal to 9 years? Can it be like I just explained to you, it cannot be month. Income tax is an annual charge. So it's in a year, you can 9 year, 3 months cannot be, somebody cannot be non-resident. Either it will be 9 year resident, non-resident, or it will be 10 year non-resident. So the 9 years and 3 months is actually a wrong question. Mr. Reddy asking, sir, what happens in fourth condition that day is exceeding one? That means fourth, if you are more than 120 days and less than 182. So if you are exceeding 182 days, then means condition number 4 is not fulfilled. Then you have to check it out whether he is fulfilling less than 730 days condition, whether he is fulfilling 10 out of 9 year condition. If he is fulfilling any one of them, then he will be a RNOR. Otherwise, he will be called a ROR. Of course, simple. Okay, somebody asking, Jayendra asking, yes, these are also applicable for November 22 and May 22 examination. Okay. Not at all complicated. Parth is saying, very nice. Okay. Yeah, very well said. Indrapal saying, sir, our classes are free, but in spite of it, these are very important. Well said, well said. Correct. You are absolutely correct. Okay. Pandya is asking, in RNOR, fourth category, don't we need to check the 365 days in 4 preceding previous year condition along with one? No, we do not need to check it. 365-day condition is for only becoming a resident or a non-resident. After you become a resident, then only these conditions need to be checked. The condition number 365 is not applicable to find it out whether you are R, NOR or not. So in that condition, you need to just check whether you are more than 120 days and less than 182 days. Clear? So that is explained. Okay. Can you explain section 6.1 again? Dubey Sunil, this is very wrong. You should go to the last section, the last session, of course. In that session, I have discussed what is the meaning of deemed resident in detail. Okay. Yes, I have taken your suggestion. So we and ICAI and Board of Study, technically we all are trying that what is actually we can do best for you. So if somebody asked that I should try Microsoft Word and I tried that, whiteboard is really good. So I explained it today in that. Again, somebody is asking about me deemed resident special case. You did not attend the last lecture. Please, it's my request. Go to the last lecture and take that. Then ask these queries. Sri Puja, yes. Sir, if an individual is covered a special provision 1 or 2 for checking R, NOR, second condition more than equal to 9, 10, non-resident. Basic condition 6.1 will be applicable or 182 condition will be applicable. So we need to check in that year what is he's doing. If in the preceding year he was going outside India or he was coming to visit in India, then if he falls in the special case, then we need to check as resident or non-resident as per the special case. But from my point of view, examiner will not create this much technical question for you, because for a normal person, normal students, it will be really difficult that in last preceding 10 years, he also applied these kind of special provision. But technically, yes, if in the preceding year like 20-21, 19-20, if he's fulfilling these special condition, then he or she will be checked as a resident or non-resident on the basis of a special condition. You can understand like this, that treat that all preceding year like a previous year. Just apply the provision assuming that it's a previous year we need to check whether he's a resident or non-resident. But an examination might be examiner will not go into that detail. Okay. Vedant asking, sir, you please once explain, go to the last class, the last session on YouTube. You can find it out. The day of departure will not include. I have explained with example, of course. Shanawaz, the day of departure and day of arrival will not include for crew member, opposite for crew members. You are writing actually technically wrong. For passengers, the day of departure and the day of arrival will be including as stay in India. And for crew members, the day of departure technically or day of arrival will be included as outside India. I'll explain you with the provision, with an example. Just wait, have patience. I am here. Okay. Day of departure, okay, it's done. Board day included because person stay more than 1 minute India. Okay. Jayendra asking, sir, in thumbnail it shows targeting May November 22 as November class yet not started because income tax is applicable on the basis of assessment year. So this is assessment year will be applicable. So do not ask these kind of question when I'm saying yes, these are applicable for November as well as for May. Please, please, please ask about the topic. If I'm saying this, if institute is saying this is applicable for November 22, then either take the class or decide as per your convenience. Same question again. Okay, in a special case 4, become a RNOR by fulfilling 3 RNOR condition except deemed. Correct, Madhuri, you are absolutely right. Deemed resident condition is specifically only for section 61A. If you are a deemed resident, you will automatically be a resident and not ordinary resident. So condition number 3 is not applicable for any other person. Those are not deemed resident. Absolutely correct. Deemed SSC, do not ask deemed SSC. That was a basic concept provision. I have discussed it. Please do watch that lectures. Okay. Good morning. Shana was asking, sir, what if person having income more than 15 lakh and not origin of India is staying in India 90 days every year, and what is the status for that individual? So if he is staying in India, then in current year he will be in more than 60 and for last 360 days. So he will be a non-resident. So you have to explain you understand the question. Either he needs to be a citizen of India or person of Indian origin. You have written that he is not a person of Indian origin. So if he's a citizen of India and earning more than 15 lakh from Indian income, Indian origin, and he does not pay tax, then he will be a deemed resident. But if he is not fulfilling any of these conditions, then he will be a non-resident. Yeah, foreign citizen if stay in India during lockdown, they will be treated as of course, resident if they fulfill those conditions. How to create interest? I'll tell you. Don't worry. In today's class, after we will complete our topic, I guess we will have some time, 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'll tell you how to create your interest in study. Do not worry. Today I'll do that. Okay. Rekha, in private classes, they were not explained details like you, sir, explaining each and every point. Very helpful. Thank you, Rekha. And you know, yeah, thank you. I am doing it because I want whatever knowledge I'm giving you should be complete knowledge. So if I'm not going to explain each and everything in detail, you might lose your marks in your examination. And that's what I do not want. I want all of you, whether you are sincere or not. If you are watching these lectures, I pray for all of you that you should be chartered accountant as soon as possible. The day you will start creating your interest in your study, the day you will start sincere for your study, for your classes, for your lectures, you will be a CA very soon. Okay. Okay. Dubey is asking, sir, what actually I want to ask is the provision of deemed resident will not be applicable on individual covered section 6.1. Yes. If you are a section 6.1 resident, then deemed resident provision will not be applicable. If you are a section 6.1 deemed resident, then only will be a RNOR. So if you are a deemed resident, if you are a resident as per section 6.1, then for becoming a RNOR, you have to check the 3 conditions, 1, 2, and 4. Okay, sorry, 1 and 2, not 4. 4 is applicable if you are a section 6.1 resident as per special provision category number C condition, category number 3 condition. Ramakrishna is saying good morning. Please scroll back the video and check it out what I explained. Okay. Examiner will not ask by quoting directly section at this level. They will ask the provision and then might add the section. Okay. So moving on to our provision, of course, I'll solve some example also. Just do not worry. I'm not going anywhere. I know I have been teaching from last 18 years almost. So I know what is the exact problem with the students. So we have limited time for a specific session, but still I'll try to explain each and everything. And I know you all are smart people. Those attending class, of course, they are sincere. You are giving your time. So if you are studying from the notes, I try to make these notes as simple and as comprehensive, covering each and everything. And also interesting by adding some photographs for you because you might create some interest in it. So if you will go for these notes, take the lecture and I'll help you for solving some queries, some numerical also. You might will understand each and everything. Okay. So now I'm going to read the provision, what we have already discussed via chart. Section 6.1, an individual who fulfill any one basic condition. We know the basic condition. These are the condition. If he is in India for previous year for a period of 182 days or more, this is a basic condition. And if he is in India during the previous year for a period of 60 days or more and was in India for a period of 365 days or more during 4 years, we have already discussed these conditions in detail. But there are some exception case. Now we come on to the special cases in which second condition will not be checked, that he or she will be a resident if he'll fulfill condition number 1, that is more than 182 days. Case 1, individual being a citizen of India, leaves India during the previous year as a member of crew of an Indian ship or for the purpose of employment outside India, that the intention must be permanent. Only this case, condition one will be need to be fulfilled, otherwise he will be non-resident. What was basic condition 1? That more than or equal to 182 days in India. We only check this condition for case 1 special. Case number 2, if there is an individual being a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin comes on a visit to India, that is a coming intention is a temporary intention to be in India, then only also condition 1 need to be checked. Okay. Now case 3, that is a very special condition, whether you are if you are an individual citizen or person of Indian origin having Indian source income exceeding 15 lakh rupees and you come to visit in India, then there is 2 conditions, more than equal to 182 days or more than equal to 120 days plus 365 days in last 4 preceding year. We have discussed it. You can read it from over here, of course. The period of stays during the relevant 182 and 122, 120 and 365 days condition. So however, such person case 2 person means individual citizen in TOIO. So I have not written in like this. So in such person means that person we are talking about. You can write it over like this. Such person means the individual as per case 2, those are citizen oblique TOIO, those coming for visit. So in that situation, it will happen that if it is an individual plus citizen of India and you are a person of Indian origin, and if you have a total income other than the income from foreign source, other than the income from foreign source means other than, that means from Indian source, that is income arise or accrue outside India, except income from a business control profession set up in India and which is not deemed to accrue or arise in India. So if you have a income which is other than foreign source, so in short we can say if you have income of 15 lakh or more than 15 lakh income from Indian source. So you can understand in a shorter way, these lines mean if you have income more than 15 lakh rupees from Indian source. In other words, for such person following basic condition will be applied and not above condition number 1 and 2. So that kind of person will be treated as a resident if he fulfills following condition, of course. And that is 182 and 120 plus 365. The term stay in India means the definition of India is covering 12 nautical miles. It is not necessary the period of stay must be continuous. I have discussed in also this in first session that continuous stay does not require. The day conditions of in India in 182 or 60, whatever it is, they should be checked in aggregate. For the purpose of counting the number of days stay in India, the day of departure and the day of arrival, we have discussed, they will be counted as in India. Now the special provision for crew member. I have told you in case of crew members, of course, what will happen? The day of leaving India technically, or the day they coming into India will be treated as staying outside India. There's some technical thing, understand it. How to determine period of stay in India for a citizen being a crew member. So if you are a citizen and you're a crew member, then stay in India days will be counted like this. In case of foreign bound ships where the destination of the voyage is outside India, there is uncertainty regarding the manner and the basis of determining the period of stay in India for an Indian citizen being a crew member. Just a second. So where the voyage is going, to remove this uncertainty, explanation 2 to section 6.1 provides. 6.1 provides that in case of an individual being a citizen of India and a member of the crew of a foreign bound ship leaving India, the period or periods of stay in India shall in respect of such voyage be determined in the prescribed manner. And this is the prescribed manner. Rule number 126. Rule number 126 tells what is the prescribed manner, what period to be excluded. It is explaining you that what period should be excluded, what period we will treat it as stay in India or not. So the period commencing from, now understand, from which day it will be treated as you will be staying in India. So in short, I told you is a technically shortcut to learn that the day in case of crew member leaving India and coming India will be counted as stay out of India. And in normal case, they treat it as stay in India. What is the technical language? The technical language is this. The date entered into the continuous discharge certificate in respect of joining the ship. The day that crew member joined the ship, fine, there is certificate is called continuous discharge certificate. So the day he signed that certificate or get that certificate of joining the ship, from that day we consider that he is now outside India, whether the ship is in India. But the day he signed that certificate, that day we treat that he is now out of India. And that time period will end. The date entered in the continuous discharge certificate in the spanning of signing off. So when he came back to India and he signed this signing off certificate, till that date, it will be treated as he is outside India. So he signed that certificate, assume at 1 p.m. today, 1 p.m. After that, he moved into India. Still for today, we will treat him as he is outside India. So to make it more clear for you and easy, I have made this provision with the example. Rule 126 in the income tax rules to compute the period of stay in such cases, according to Rule 126 for the purpose of section 6.1, in case of an individual being a citizen of India, of course, he must be a citizen of India, and a member of a crew of a ship, the period of stay in India shall in respect of an eligible voyage not include. So what time we will not include as stay in India. So if he signed that continuous discharge certificate and entered into the ship, and ship stay in India for 20 days, still from the day he signed that certificate, we treat him as he is outside India. Let's see how. For example, days in India will be as follows. Total days, assume 365, or in case of leap year, 366 days. So less days from joining the ship and signing off ship. So the day he joined the ship and the day he's signing off that certificate, that days we will deduct from total number of days in a year. The balance day will be treated as stay in India. So if we need to find out in respect of a crew member, then what we will do, we will take the total number of days and the day he signed that certificate and the day he again signed that certificate as a signing off. those time will be treated as outside India. So if we deduct that time period out of total days in a year, the balance will be days stay in India. So to clear it more for you, this is an example. This is an example which has been asked in examination also. So Mr. A, date of joining example 6 June 21 and signing of date is 9th December 21. So you need to calculate how many days he stay in India or how many days he stay outside India. So what we will do, we will take total days 365 and from 6th till 9th, we consider these days as he is outside India. 6th and 9th will be including as stay outside India. This is simple difference, simple. If this question belongs to a normal person who is not a crew member, then what I'll do, I'll treat 6th and 9th as in India. So now we have 178 days in India, but if this question belongs to a normal person, then it will be 180 days automatically because those 2 days will be included in India. Understand? Now I personally feel you understand what is the concept of this. So he or he will be a non-resident in India as he falls in exception case 1. So need to check only first basic condition of 182 days. And as he did not fulfill, so he will be a non-resident. So that was the provision I was talking about, of course. Now the deemed resident concept, we have discussed an individual, those are citizen having total income, again, the income which from Indian resources exceeding 15 lakh rupees and he does not pay tax on that income anywhere in world, then he will be treated as a resident. And I've already told you that in that case, he is treated as fixed resident and not ordinary resident. Directly, he treated as resident and not ordinary resident. However, this provision will not apply in case of individual who is a resident of India in the previous year as per section 6.1. If you are a resident as per section 6.1, then section 6.1 will not be applicable. Now, what is ordinary and not ordinary resident? So an individual will be not ordinary resident if he satisfy any one or both condition. First one, 9 out of 10 preceding year, he should be a non-resident. We have discussed it. He must be in India for less than 730 days in 7 previous year. We have already discussed it. This third point technically in chart is fourth. In chart, what I've explained in point number 4, this is third point over here. And that was if such individual belongs to that special category, then he or she will be called a RNOR also if he is more than equal to 120 days but less than 182 days in a previous year. And fourth is now the third point of our diagram, that was deemed resident. So a deemed resident will always be treated as resident and not ordinary resident. So if it does not fulfill in any condition, if a resident does not fulfill any of them, then he or she will be a resident and ordinary resident. Now, when you will be a non-resident, if you do not fulfill the condition of becoming a resident, then in that case, you will be called a simply non-resident. Clear? Resident status of a AOP, HUF and firm, we have discussed control and management. Resident status of individual members, partners, is irrelevant, is immaterial. If 3 partners are non-resident and 1 partner is resident, but the business meeting, some business meeting has been held in India, then that firm will be treated as a resident. So what are the member status, what are the partner individual status, is a resident or non-resident, does not affect the status of that firm, etc. What is the meaning of control and management? You can read it out. I have told you where the business meeting, etc. has been taken place. That resembles the meaning of control and management. This is again the diagram we have discussed in case of HUF. I have told you in case of HUF, the provisions are reverse. If the control management is in India, then will be called a resident. And if it is a resident, then we check the reverse condition upon the Karta. That he at least 2 years or more resident and he must be in India for 730 days or more in 7 preceding previous year. Situation number 2, these are theoretical provision. If you are HUF and HUF becomes a resident, then to find out whether it is a RNOR or ROR, we need to check it on Karta. that whether he's a ROR or not. So both condition will apply. Karta has been resident in India for 2 or more years out of 10 previous year, and Karta has been in India for 730 days or more in 7 previous years. So if Karta fulfills both of these conditions, then only the HUF will be ROR, otherwise it will be a RNOR. And if Karta does not satisfy both of the above condition or any of them, you can also add this, of course, it is already included in diagram. You can also add it in your notes also. Then that you have to fulfill both condition. If Karta fulfill both condition, then only the HUF will be ROR. If the Karta does not fulfill any one of them also, then the HUF will be RNOR. Company status we have discussed, that is, the Indian company always be resident, and foreign company we need to check it out, the POEM, place of effective management. Clear? Place of effective management detail will be discussed at final level. I have already told you this also. When a company will be a non-resident, if you are a Indian company, you are always resident, and if you are a foreign company, in that case you will be a non-resident if the control is management, the POEM, in substance outside India. So these were the provision regarding the residential status of a person. Let me solve one or two questions for you. That will really help you to understand the provision. We have also MCQs, but let me help you for something. Let's solve the example given in the test your knowledge. That will be better for you. Just a second. Okay, fine. So let's discuss these kind of question. Mr. Ram, an Indian citizen, left India on 22/9/2021 for the first time to work as an officer of a company in Germany. Determine the residential status of Ram for the assessment year 22-23. So let me tell you a very important thing. In case of individual, whenever you read the questions, you have to check it out firstly that whether it belongs to special case or a normal case. So Mr. Ram, an Indian citizen. So if an Indian citizen left India for the job, does it fall in a special condition or normal condition? Answer me. I am waiting for your answers. Tell me, if an individual leaving India for job and he is a citizen of India, so is it a basic provision condition or a special provision condition? Nagarjuna was saying 72 day दिया है. नागार्जुन बुक में 729 days दिया है, मतलब ऐसा लिखा है 729 days और less. Clear? और हम क्या लिख रहे हैं? Less than 730 days. तो 730 से कम मतलब 729 ही तो. I am explaining it to you. So you are actually asking the same thing which is already asked by somebody else also, and you are asking it again because you joined the class now. That is a wrong way of study. I have already explained this 729 concept just before, like 30 minutes before to someone. 730 से कम 729 ही होता है. Clear? It's the same thing. Okay, so special case, it's just, yes, the question falls in a special case. B, first case, when an individual, those are citizen outside of India. Students answer me, of course. Kanishk answer, good. Parth also answer, good, very good. You all are awakened, you are studying, you are sincere, very nice. So because this question belongs to the special case, and in special case, we just need to check condition number 1. That whether he's in India for 182 days or not. So now to find out whether he's in India for 182 days or not, we have to see the day he left is 22nd September 2021. So for previous year 21-22, in previous year 21-22, how many days he was in India? So he was in April in India. April means 30 days. Then for May, it's 31 days. then it's June, of course, 30, then for July, 31, then in August, 31, and then September, we will consider 22 days because the day he left India will be considered as stay in India. So now we will take the total of all these days, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? 3, 3, 9, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 17. So he is in India for 175 days in this year. And because he falls in the special category of case, in a special category of case, we need to be in India for at least 182 days. So because he is not fulfilling these 182 days condition, so he will be called a non-resident. Clear? He will be called a non-resident. The format we need to explain examination has been given over here. So you have to write it down that he is fulfilling technically the condition. So he will be called a non-resident because he is specifically fall in the basic condition. Now the question number 2. Let's discuss the question number 2. Condition 2 says, Mr. They are non-resident residing in US since 1990. Okay, came back to India on 1/4/20 for permanent settlement. Now understand, he's saying the for permanent settlement. What will be his status for assessment year 22-23? So if somebody is coming to India for permanent settlement, so generally it happens when a person from outside India comes to visit India, then a special condition be applicable. But because somebody is coming for permanent settlement, that means special case is not applicable. So we will find it out whether he is a resident or non-resident by applying both conditions, 182 and 60 plus 365 both. Because he came India on 1/4/20, so he is in India for the whole year. So he is fulfilling condition number 1, that is 182 days for both year 2021 and 21-22. So he is of course resident in India in those years. So there is no need to solve it by me because it's automatically very self-explained. So you are understand. So he will be called of course resident in India. So now we will need to find out which category of residential status he belongs. That let me explain you in detail. He came on 1/4/20 from 1990. Okay, let's solve that question over here. Right? So we'll understand in detail. So Mr. Dev, Mr. D, who was in outside India from 1990, came to India from 1/4/2020 for permanent settlement. So because he does not fall in any of special case, so we need to find it out whether he is a resident or not by the normal provision, applying this condition and applying this also, 60 days plus 365 days. So because he came to India from 1/4/2020, and in our question we need to find out his status for 21-22, that is 1/4/21-31st March 22 duration, what he was doing. So technically he was in India for whole 365 days. And before this year also, like 1/4/20, because he comes to India on this day. So in the preceding year also, he was in India for 365 days. Now what will happen? Because this does not belong to the special case, we need to find it out as per both conditions. So of course, in previous year 21-22, he is fulfilling this condition because in our previous year, he is in India for whole 365 days. So he will be a resident directly. We need not to check condition 2, because if somebody is a resident as per condition number 1, that means he is a resident. We need not to check condition number 2. Now, after becoming resident, the concept comes whether he is a ROR or whether he is a RNOR. For RNOR, we will check 2 conditions only in this case, because he is not a deemed resident. He is not a special category B third point condition. So we need to check it out, these conditions. So whether he's in India for less than 730 days in 7 PPY, or he is 9-year non-resident or more than that out of 10 preceding previous years. So if he fulfill any of them, he will be called a resident and not ordinary resident. So for previous year 21-22 we have already discussed. Now we have to take 7 years to find this condition is applicable or not. So -20-21, then 19-20, then 18-19, then 17-18, then 16-17. Don't make a shortcut. Just solve the question as per the provision. That will really make things easy for you. 15-16 and 14-15. So now we have last preceding 7 years. So can we see how many days he was in India in this? 365 full days. And before that he was outside India. So in last 6 years he was not in India for even a single day. So he was in India for only 365 days in 7 years. So he is fulfilling this condition or not? Yes, he is in India for less than 730 days. That is 729 or less. So because he fulfilled first condition, he will be called a resident and ordinary resident. We do not need to check this condition. Technically, if you're going to check this condition, he is actually fulfilling this also. Because only this year he will be a resident. If you'll add 3 more years, 13, 14, 12, 13 and 11, 12. Then in last 10 years, only this year he is a resident and for 9 years he is a non-resident. So he is fulfilling this also, but we do not need to check it. If you fulfill this condition, you are a resident, not non-resident, the answer is over. Clear? So like this, we need to solve the questions. So that was our query. Okay. So this is explained like this. So you will be a resident and not ordinary resident. Question 3 belongs to the other topic. What we need to discuss over here. Let me see the queries. Then we will move on to our other topic. Okay. Special provision. Okay. Very good. Very good. You all are so intelligent. Wow. Very nice. Very nice. Great. Okay, so there is no query. You already answered for the question. I hope after solving these 2 questions, you might be feeling that the provisions are not difficult. I am telling you, trust me. Study is the most easiest thing in life to do actually. I believe. I know it kindly feel awkward for you. Some of you might be thinking, no, it's so difficult. But imagine for those people who do not have that privilege to study. There are a lot of people in India who wants to study. There are a lot of students who wants to study, but due to their family problems, financial problems, they are not able to study. So they need to physically work. They need to do something else to earn money. And that is really difficult. You should see your surroundings, that you are privileged in many, many, many ways, that you just need to study. You need to study some books. You need to clear some examination and that's it. You are a rich man. You are a happy person. So is it that difficult that you just need books and you have to at home and just study? Your parents are providing you a lot of facilities, everything. You have each and everything. Then still they just asked you to study. Is it that difficult? You might be finding it difficult because you did not do any other thing. You might be not seeing that your surroundings, that life is so difficult. Imagine about Afghanistan, the places there, like students generation wants to study, but that is not that simple. There are other problems, and that is larger problem than this. So if you are having every privilege, if you have that facilities, and if you just need to study, what is the difficulty in this? You have to have some books. You have to study, you have to give your time, your sincerity, and that's it. And if somebody of you saying it's difficult, let me tell you why it's difficult for you, because you have no interest in it. And how to create interest in your studies, I have a way to explain you. Might be some of you will think, that's not exactly what they were expected, but that's what worked for me, and I hope for some of you it will work. And even if one student can relate this, that it can work for you, my work is done. So how you will create interest in study, it's a very Simple way to understand it like this. You all must have dreams. You all have dreams. Somebody of you wants money in your life. Somebody wants respect. Somebody needs a good car. Somebody needs imported things. Somebody needs a good house, etc. You all might have your special dreams in your life. And dreams does not come true like this, that you just dream it and it will come true. No. So to fulfill your every dream, you need to do only one thing: study. So whenever you study your book, understand, then if you clear this examination, your dream will come true. If you want a car, if you want a money, if you want to travel outside India, if you want respect for you, then everything is your own hand, what you're studying. So believe me, it's actually work. If you do not have interest in a study, that means your dreams will not come true automatically. No. Then stop dreaming. Stop dreaming about the car. Dream about the rickshaw. That will be fine because you are not going to study. So if you have any dream and you want to fulfill it, the solution is in your hand. You just need to study. And if you study properly, your all dream will come true. Look what happened. I have an elder brother, and he is actually far more intelligent than me. So I am like 1.5 years younger than him. I'm telling you why I become a CA. So I am almost 1.5 years younger than him, and he was far more intelligent than me. So initially till 10th, from like nursery till 10th, I was not a very good student. I was a very average student. I was very, very average. Like you can say a bad student, not even average. That's a below average student. I was not interested in study. I was always in playing cricket, playing games, roaming over here and there. I was not interested at all in study. That's why I feel study like a burden because I do not have any interest. So I have been beaten by my teachers, getting a punishment. I can assure you, I have got so many punishment. Then at least you all might do not have that kind of punishment in combo, including all of you 20 students. I am the only student got the most punishment at my school because of not studying only, of course. And at home, of course, I have beaten by, I have got punishment also in my home also, just because I was not into study, because I do not have interest in study. And what happened after, when I was in like 10th, when 11th, 12th, of course, at that time also I was not very intelligent. So what happened? I was not very sincere actually, technically. So my brother got selected in MBBS. He becomes a doctor. And when I realized it, that everyone start respecting him. Everybody in my family, my neighbors, my relative, they start respecting him because he just cleared the examination of MBBS. And everybody is ignoring me after that day because they are saying, oh, he's not doing anything. He will not do anything. He will be bad child. He was not going to do anything good in his life because I took the commerce, of course, because I was not so good in science. So my brother cracked the examination of MBBS. Everybody's calling him doctor and Dr. Sahab. And I was feeling really depressed. I was feeling, oh God, what is happening? So everybody's actually respecting him because he was a doctor and I'm not studying because I'm not going to be somebody like good in my life because I'm wasn't studying that much. So that actually hit me a lot. And I thought I need respect. Of course, money also we all need. But for my dream was, but I want to be respected by all those. Those are technically not respecting me. Those are technically ignoring me. So just because of that reason, I find it out how it can happen if I'll study well, if I'll be someone. Because he was doctor in his field. So in our field, there was a CA, which is equivalent to the best in our field, commerce technically. So I thought I'll do something that kind of, so that will provide me that respect, what I want. So only that reason I start creating interest in my study. And let me tell you, after that day, the day I realized that yes, the study is the only way to fulfill this dream. I never felt studies a burden. I cleared my CA, both group, intermediate and first attempt. And I was almost 23-year-old, the youngest chartered accountant. I actually opted CA after my graduation, after my BCom. So after graduation, I become CA in 23 years of age. So I was youngest in that category chartered accountant who cleared CA after graduation. So in that time duration, I feel all studies are simple because I was taking just because I have a goal to achieve. So I was thinking all subjects are good. I sacrifice my many things, a lot of things I sacrifice, party, etc. because I need to fulfill that dream of respect. And the day I become a CA, the family start respected me. Then the person those call me by nickname, they start calling me Ankit Ji. They technically listen my advices when I gave my advices into my family matter. Just because why? Because I study and I achieved and I completed this CA course. So I'm just telling you, whatever interest or passion you have, whatever it is, I promise you can get this if you are studying well. So if you are a dream and you, and that dream and that you is a between a thing that are study. So just study. That's it. It's not that difficult. You might thinking they are easy, but you need to put your interest. If you need a car, just think you are whenever you're studying. Understand, you are just going to get that car by studying. If you're solving question, understand these are notes. These are technically notes. The note actually, the currency. If you read study, you will get money for that. So if you're studying, you will get money for that. So this is what you are doing technically. These are not books. These are dreams. These are dreams which you're going to achieve by only this way. Okay. I hope if any one of you can do this, that my job is done. So technically we have completed our this part. Now we will move on to our other part of that chapter that is not that complicated. That is simple provisions, and that is called uh, this topic, that's taxable and in the starting of this topic, I told you that the residential status is technically very important because the taxability of income depends upon your residential status. So the what net income is going to be taxable, what provision you need to be fulfilled, that is very, very important on the basis of your residential status. So that's why we need to find it out whether you are a ROR, RNOR, and NR. So I'll take this topic, I'll start that topic, and this is very easy in comparison to what we have just discussed. So after a break of a short 5 minutes, we'll be back, and then I will take this topic and we'll finish the topic and we'll also do our MCQs. Okay. So let's have a break of 5 minutes and we'll be back soon. Students, I hope you all must have your tea, coffee, etc., etc. So moving on to our notes again. Okay. So we will take the queries after 20 to 25 minutes. So we are moving on to our last topic of this chapter, and that is taxability effect on ROR, RNOR, and NR. So I told you that your residential status technically going to impact your tax liability in various means. So the income which is going to be taxable for different category of resident or non-resident, and which income impact your status, and how your your status is important to know that which income is going to be taxable for you. We will discuss in this section, in section number 5, that is incidence of tax. Incidence means burden, impact, etc. Scope of total income. So this is a residential person who is running, and the tax is coming after him, of course. So section 5 provides the scope of total income in terms of the residential status of the assessee, because the incidence of tax on any person depend upon his residential status. The scope of total income of an assessee depends upon the following 3 important considerations. What is the status of the assessee? The place of accrual or receipt of income, whether the income is accrue or receive. The point of time when the income is accrued or not. The time is also important. There is a format I have made for you. By the help of that format, these provision is really going to be very easy for you. The ambit of total income of the 3 class of assessee would be as follows. These are the category which are explained that which income is going to be taxable for the respective person. There are some income which is going to be taxable for resident and ordinary resident. There are some income which are going to be taxable for resident but not ordinary resident. And there are some income which is going to be taxable for non-resident. So these are the income which has been written in paragraph. I have made a diagram, a format for you, and that is really going to be very easy to you to understand what exactly I am talking about. Fine. So we are discussing these provisions with the help of this format. So I have written down we have 4 columns. First is for particulars, or we can say the different kinds of incomes. Second is technically, if you are an ordinary resident, then which incomes are going to be taxable for you? That will be come in this second column. Third is if you are not ordinary resident, then the implication. And the last is if you are a non-resident, then the implication, whether these incomes are going to be taxable for you or not. So in particulars, I have written specific incomes, and in the other column, we are going to know that that kind of income is taxable or not for you. I also told you in initial, or we can say the last session, that becoming a non-resident is beneficial for the purpose of tax liability in our country. Becoming a non-resident. And you will understand why I was saying that, because you will find it out that in case of non-resident, there are taxability is low. All incomes are non-taxable. Some incomes are taxable and some are not taxable. But if you are an ordinary resident, then all incomes are taxable for you. And in case of not ordinary resident, that is a mixed concept. Some exemption, some taxability. Let's read it one by one. The first income we are discussing is income arise oblique earn, or deemed to arise oblique earn in India while received anywhere. So if you have any income which is arise or earn, arise earn means where it is accrue. So if income has arise or earn or deemed to arise or earn. So deemed means indirectly arise or earn from India. Arise means directly earn from India. What is the exact meaning of deemed to arise? That is also a topic we will discuss after this table. That is section 9, in which we will discuss what is the meaning of deemed to arise. So for now we can understand arise means directly arise from India, and deemed to arise, that is indirectly arise from India. So if you are earning income which is arise directly or indirectly from India while received anywhere. So if you earn income or arise income in India directly, indirectly, and receive that income anywhere, then it does not matter. On that income, you need to pay tax, whether you are an ordinary resident whether you are a not ordinary resident or whether you are a non-resident. So for category 1 income, it does not matter what status you have. You have to pay tax on each and every income if that income fall in category number 1. What is exactly it? Let me explain you with an example. Which kind of income we were talking? So first category income example. For example, Mr. A is working in Tata company in India. So he is doing job in Tata company in India. His salary is 2 lakh rupee per month. But he said, I want this salary in my USA bank account. He's working in India, but he said, I need this salary to be received in my USA bank account. I do not want to receive this salary in my Indian bank account. I want this salary need to be credited in my USA bank account. So now where he's doing job in India. So technically the income is arising in India. Clear? But he's received that income outside India. So income is received outside India. So now the question arises whether this 2 lakh is going to be taxable for Mr. A or not. The answer is yes, because provision point number 1 says if income is arise in India while received anywhere, while received in India or not does not matter. If the income has arise in India, that means it's going to be taxable for all, whether Mr. A is a ROR, whether he is a RNOR, or whether he is a NR. So this category of income, those have arise or earn in India, is going to be taxable all categories of person. Clear? Now point number 2, it says the opposite thing, exactly the opposite thing we will discuss now. Point number 2, income say reverse, income received or deemed to be received in India while earn or arise anywhere. Like the first point say arise earn in India while received anywhere. Now it say received or deemed to be received in India. Again, why received is directly received, deemed received, indirectly received. We will come to know what is the meaning of deemed received. While receive anywhere. While receive, if received in India, while earn anywhere, whether in India or outside India, that is also be taxable for all of them, whether you are a resident or ordinary or not ordinary, etc. For example, number 2. Now understand, there's Mr. B who work in USA in a Pepsi company and doing job there, getting a salary of 2 lakh rupees per month, or might say $20,000 per month. Clear? Now he said that my salary should be credited in my Indian bank account. He wants that the company should pay his salary in his Indian bank account. So the income is received in India. Accrue arise outside India. Now income is arising outside India, but it's receiving in India. So if income is receiving in India, then also it's going to be taxable, whether he is a ROR, whether he is a RNOR, and whether he is a NR. So if you arise income in India, it's going to be taxable for all. If you receive income in India, it's going to be taxable for all. So whether you status, whatever status you have, it does not matter if you arise income in India or you received income in India. Clear? Now we'll move on to third category. So technically for category 1 and 2, you might be thinking what is the benefit of becoming a non-resident or whatever it is, because we need to pay tax in all situations. Now from the third point, you will understand the benefit. What is exactly the benefit for them? Because from the third point, there will be benefit to non-resident, etc. What it is? Now, third point says income received and arise outside India. Now, the both activity is actually happening outside India. Income is arising outside India. Income has been received outside India, but business control from India. But business control from India, the income you are receiving is outside India. The work you are doing outside India, but the business, the activity you are earning, that activity has been controlled from India. So if it is happening, then that kind of income is taxable for ROR, RNOR, but not taxable for NR. So if you are a non-resident, then this is the advantage that if there is any income which is received outside India and business control from India. So if you are ROR or RNOR, then you pay to tax, but if you are NR, you not need to pay tax on that. What it is, let me give you an example, of course. Example 3. Now assume Mr. C, who work in a branch of Tata company in USA. Clear? He is working in USA, of course. He is getting salary received in USA. So working is in USA, that means income is earned in USA, and because salary received also that means received also outside India. So both activities outside India. But the concept says because it's a branch of Tata company and it has been the holding or the main head office is in India. So if any business is controlled from India, so this branch has been controlled from India. So if any business is controlled from India, then if you earn any income from that business which is outside India and received outside India, then that salary is also going to be taxable if you are a ROR, if you are a RNOR, but if you are a non-resident, then it's not going to be taxable. So technically assume at yourself, from your point of view, that you might getting an appointment letter from Tata company that you need to go and do your job in USA in a branch of Tata company. Fine. You went there. Now you are technically for this year is a resident and you are a resident and ordinary resident. So if you are getting salary in USA from Tata, then you are earning there, you are receiving there, but still you need to pay tax because for this year you are technically a ROR. Yes, in the next financial year, which will be begin from 1st April 2022, and if you did not come to India at that duration and you become a non-resident, then any salary you receive at that duration, that is not going to be taxable because in the next year you will be technically a non-resident. So understand? If income is arising in India, taxable for all. Clear? If it is received in India, taxable for all. If it is receiving outside India, but business control from India, then taxable for ROR and RNOR. Non-taxable for non-resident. And what is the fourth case? Fourth case, I can explain you over here without the provision because you understand. Now the all activities outside India. Now the arise also outside India, received outside India, and the business is also controlled from outside India. Now, for example, if Mr. D is working in Pepsi company in USA, doing job there, of course, receiving salary, of course, there. The both thing is doing outside India. That means in USA. And the company is also having control outside India. Company is not controlled from India. Control is also outside India. So in this case, Mr. D is receiving salary. So this is going to be taxable if Mr. D status is resident and ordinary. Non-taxable for not ordinary or non-taxable for non-resident. So if you are going to USA in March and you are technically joining Pepsi company and getting 50 lakh rupees salary for the month of March only, assume 50 lakh, then it's going to be taxable because you belongs to a resident and ordinary resident status. So whether control outside India, earn outside India, received outside India, but government say you are an ordinary person. You are ordinary, you are not extraordinary, you are just an ordinary. So ordinary resident need to pay tax whether they receive in India, outside India, or anywhere. So we, me, you, we all are technically resident and ordinary resident. until 31st March 2022, whatever you earn from wherever you earn, you need to pay tax on that income in India at least. If you are paying tax also in USA, that's a different matter. For that, I told you we have a double taxation avoidance agreement, which will be discussed in final. So for now, we can say yes, that income is going to be taxable if you are a resident and ordinary resident. Yes, for next year, you will be might be a non-resident because you might be not coming to India. Then in that case, you don't need to pay tax on that income. But if you are a resident or ordinary resident, you have to pay tax on each and every income. So what is the summary of these provisions? It's very simple. If you are a resident and ordinary resident, you have to pay tax on all income. There's no exception. Wherever earn, wherever arise, wherever control, does not matter. You have to pay tax. Even if you are going on to the moon and you are earning some income on moon or Mars, even if you have to pay tax in India, if you are a resident and ordinary resident. So this is not applicable on Earth. This is even applicable for space cases. So if you are a resident but not ordinary resident, then you have to pay tax on India if you received in India, if that is arise in India, and if that business is controlled from India. Only 3 income is going to be taxable. And you have a non-resident, you have to pay tax only on 2 income, if they are received in India or arise in India. So you can summarize it, you can learn it like this. Ordinary need to pay tax on all incomes. Non-resident need to pay tax on 2 income. And because it's a middle person, which is called RNOR, they need to pay tax on 3 income. Arise, received, and control. So these are the concept. If you can learn it, these are very simple. There's nothing difficult in this topic. So this is 4th income, income received and arise outside India, and business control also from outside India. Then taxable for only resident and ordinary resident. For all other person, this is non-taxable. The point number 5 belongs to a different activity. That is not an income, but that might come in examination to just confuse you. So point number 5 is not an income. Income will be in 4th category, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And because point number 5 does not relate to an income, it might look like an income, but technically it's not an income, which fall in our 4 categories. So I have written in front of these that is not applicable. I didn't write it not taxable or taxable. I have written that not applicable because these are technically not income, but it might confuse you in your examination. So whenever point number 5, A or B incomes or amount is given in question, please be very careful that you do not need to do anything. Just don't do anything. These are non-taxable or taxable. These are technically not applicable. They will confuse you. And what are these? Let's read it. If in question is given income of earlier year or preceding year, leave it. We do not need to do anything for any income which belongs to earlier year or preceding year. We need to do the treatment of only those income, those are of previous year or current year. So if there is any income which is given in question and it has been written, it belongs to earlier year. Like for an example, it has been written that income of Mr. A is 15 lakh. Income of Mr. A is 15 lakh. And out of that 15 lakh, 2 lakh belongs to earlier year. Understand? If the income is rupees 15 lakh and 2 lakh belongs to earlier year or preceding year income, then what we need to do? We just need to treat rupees 13 lakh rupees. That 13 lakh rupees will fall in category 1, 2, or 3, or 4. That will be given in question. But that 2 lakh we need to ignore. We do not need to anything because that is to earlier or preceding year. Why we need to ignore it? Because income tax is an annual charge on income. We cannot tax earlier year income in this year. I've told you this is basic concept. So we just need to consider the current year or previous year income. So examiner may give that kind of information that might be going to confuse you. So do not get confused. So if there's any income, even if it is written that Mr. A has 15 lakh rupees income, out of which 2 lakh belong to preceding year, on which tax has not been paid. Even it is written that on that 2 lakh tax has not been paid. Even that cannot be considered as your previous year income. So again, we will treat only 13 lakh treatment. That will be fall in category 1, 2, or 3, or 4, depending on the information. So do not treat those income in your question. Those belongs to preceding year or earlier year, whether tax has been paid on that or not been paid. You need to ignore it. Please remember, ignore that. Okay. The second is income brought or remitted into India. In the above 4 conditions, you might have seen that income is going to be taxable on the basis of where they arise, where they receive, or from where they control. From where they remit, that does not has any fact on our treatment. Like income has arise in USA, rupees 10 lakh has arise in USA, received in USA, 10 lakh rupees. And Mr. A is a ordinary or ordinary resident and ordinary resident. That is, Mr. A is a resident and ordinary resident. He has earned income in USA, received in USA, controlled from USA. So in that situation, that income is going to be taxable because he is a status of what? Resident and ordinary resident. If he is a resident and not ordinary resident, that is not going to be taxable. If he is a non-resident, that is again not going to be taxable. So what I am trying to say, that if in question is given that Mr. A, 10 lakh rupees income, earn in USA, receive in USA, control from USA. Then what will happen if he is a resident ordinary? Taxable. If he is this, non-taxable. If he is non-resident, non-taxable. In this question, if it is given, out of that 10 lakh, he remit / brought. Might be he's coming to India for visit, or he remit that amount to someone else. So he remit or brought 3 lakh rupees in India. He's coming to India for visit. So he bring with him 3 lakh rupees. So does it going to be taxable? The answer will be no, because that is not an income. That is, he just remit with himself. If it is applicable, then this 3 lakh is going to be taxable wherever you will take the income. No. So income has decided on the basis of this. Whether it's going to be taxable or not, this will be decided from this information, from where it has been earned, received, or controlled. So after deciding that on the basis of received, controlled, and arise, it's taxable or non-taxable. So after that, if you remit that income anywhere, that is not going to be taxable at all, because that is not the technically income arise, because that's the only remittance. So for example, if I earn some income in India, like 20 lakh rupees. So I pay tax in India, 20 lakh rupees upon 20 lakh rupees. Now out of that 20 lakh rupees, I am taking 3 lakh rupees and I'm going to USA. Then the US government will not tax it because it is just a remittance and brought with you. That is, we do not earn income in USA. In the same vice versa cases, if you have earned income in any country and you are taking that income with yourself and coming into India, so that is not a case where anything is going to be taxable, whether you are ordinary, not ordinary, or non-resident. So remittance and brought does not have any fact, on taxability. That's why I have written that is not applicable. Clear? So 2 kinds of information you have to ignore, you have to remove. That is income of earlier or preceding year and income brought or remitted into India. You have to ignore these kind of informations. Okay. So moving on to further. The categories of income which are deemed to accrue rise. So our topic of incidence of tax also has been completed. Now the last topic which remains is the categories of income which are deemed to accrue rise. There was a condition I told you, that is arise or deemed to arise, received or deemed to receive. So I have explained to you that we will discuss deemed to arise and deemed to receive later. So the time has come. Okay, so let me complete this topic. Then we will take a MCQ test. You must have a paper, pen, and calculator, of course. And I will take queries also. This is also very simple. Indirectly, when we consider any income indirectly arising or accruing from India, they are simple theoretical provision. The categories of income which are deemed to accrue or arise in India are any income accrue arising to an assessee in any place outside India, whether directly or indirectly. So I have made provision headwise when under that particular head, some income will be treated as directly arising from India. So we have 5 head of income. In all those 5 head of income, I am going to explain you one by one in which head, which income will be treated as arises from India indirectly. So first of all, income under the head PGBP. That means profit and gain of business and profession. So if you are running a PGBP, that means if you are running a business or a profession, then when that income will be treated as you're deemed to arise from India. It's a very simple term. The term business connection includes following. So if you are fulfilling the business connection term, that means that income will be considered as deemed to arise from India. Maintaining a branch office. So if you have a branch office in India and you are earning some income out of that branch office, then it will be said that any income earned by that branch will be treated as income deemed to arise in India. And what will be the impact? For example, a Mr. A who reside in USA, he's a non-resident for India purpose. He open a branch in India and do purchase and sale from that branch and earn income and get that amount in USA, receive that amount in USA. So because now branch income is also technically is what? Deemed to arise. Then because he is a non-resident, he has to pay tax on that income also because it falls in deemed to arise definition. So I've told you, if it is arise deemed to arise, if it is a receive deemed to receive, that is going to be taxable for all. So the first point says deemed to arise means maintaining a branch office. Generally, we think if you have a head office, then only income can be treated as taxable. But no, department has extended this definition and include the branch office as well as includes a subsidiary. If you have a subsidiary in India, you're holding company outside India, but you're having a subsidiary in India, and from that subsidiary you earn some business income, again that will be treated as deemed to arise from India, and that means taxable for all. Appointing an agent, that means agency. If you do not open a branch, if you do not open any subsidiary, but you doing business in India via an agency, in that case also you will be treated, that income will be treated as deemed to arise from India. Any financial association, if you are not selling purchase, but you open a financial association, that means money. If should be like this. In case of financial association, let me tell what is the meaning with an example that will make things easy for you. Okay. So we have seen that in case of business, if you have a branch office, that's income deemed to arise in India. You have a subsidiary, income deemed to arise in India. If you have an agency, you have income arise in India. And of course, if you have a head office, that is the normal case. That is technically a arise in India. So these three. Now the fourth is any financial association. It's like this. If Mr. A, who is in a USA and a non-resident, lends some money to Mr. B, who is in India. For say, he gives loan to Mr. B of 50 lakh rupees loan. Clear? And Mr. B repaid 60 lakh rupees. That means how much the income of Mr. A? That is 10 lakh rupees, the amount of interest. So earlier it has been presumed that because branch, subsidiary and agency is technically for goods, they only covered goods, technically, sale purchase. And because this is all about money, and money is not goods as per the definition of Sales of Goods Act. So Sales of Goods Act says that money is technically not in the definition of goods. So in that case, if 10 lakh earned by Mr. A, it cannot be covered in point number 1, 2, 3 because that is only for the definition which is covered under the definition of goods as per Sales of Goods Act. But money does not fall in the definition of goods, so it was not taxable earlier. But as per amendment now, it has been said that if any income arises due to financial association, we will also treat that income as deemed to arise, even if that is not goods. So that is also going to be now taxable because it becomes deemed to arise. All threes are going to be taxable, and as well as any income arises due to any financial association. Clear? Now, because branches is taxable, subsidiary is taxable, agencies income taxable, financial association is taxable, now the businessman finds a new way to escape from this tax liability. And they say, we do not appoint a branch, we will not appoint a subsidiary, we will not appoint an agency officially, we will appoint a person who will take orders from our behalf and deliver goods on our behalf. We will not go into the agency, technical agency agreement, otherwise it will fall in the category third. So we will appoint a person that is not our agency. He will technically going to take orders on our behalf or deliver our goods to the consumer on our behalf and transfer and the consumer will pay to him and the amount is going to come to us. So that is not covered under the above category. You can see, you might be all seeing the home shop network which comes in the TV. So what they do, we order them on call and they technically deliver the goods. But technically they are not the manufacturer producer. They are type of person who's just receiving an order, and even they are not the agency of that company. You can order whatever product they are showing us on TV. You have seen that, the TLC TV, the home shop network, etc., which is coming and which is selling things of different companies. So they are not technically agent of any company. They are technically a person. Those are booking orders on behalf of company and delivering you the goods and taking the payment. So that payment is going to the person who is technically the manufacturer. So that is not covered under the above fourth point. So department has made amendment and has said these kind of person will also be treated now. These kind of person will also be treated now as comparative to an agent. So if any income you are earning via this channel, if any income you are earning via this channel, any non-resident is earning any income via this channel, this earning also will be called as deemed to arise. Earlier it was not taxable, but as per amendment now this is also taxable. Even if you can do this, so you say only we will receive order from that person. We will deliver goods ourselves, but that person only gives us the order. And in that case also, it will be treated as a deemed to arise. And if it says we will find the order ourselves, but he just need to deliver our goods. So if that person doing both activity, that income is going to be taxable as deemed to arise. If he is doing only one activity, only order on your behalf, that is taxable. Or even if only doing delivery of goods, that is also taxable. So technically they are now 7 categories in which business income can be treated as deemed to arise. Point number 5, 6, 7 category will be applicable only if these are doing on regular or habitual basis. So if someone is doing this on regular basis or habitual basis, then it will be termed out as business connection. And if it is turned out as business connection, then in that case, that is going to be treated as deemed to arise income. These are just simply theoretical provision. Do not take tension. Just read it out and you will understand. It's not that difficult. It's very, very simple. Pure theoretical. So these are 7 cases. Habitually secured order, habitually deliver the goods, habitually doing both of them. So these are 7 cases. In case of business, we will treat it like a business connection, and that will turn into a deemed to arise income if you are earning any income out of these 7 modes. Next, in the case of a non-resident, the following shall not, however, be treated as business connection in India. There are some exceptions also. And exception number 1 are saying that in the case of a business in respect of which all the operations are not carried out in India, if you are doing some activity, some business operation, not full business operation in India, then only that part of income which attributable to that operation, what you are doing in India, is only going to be taxable as your deemed to arise income. I'll tell you the example. In the case of a business in respect of which all the operations are not carried out in India, in the case of a business of which all the operations are not carried out in India, the income of the business deemed to accrue in India shall be only such part of the income as reasonably attributable to to the operations carried out in India. Therefore, it follows that such part of income which cannot be reasonably attributable to the operations in India is not deemed to accrue or arise in India. So listen to the example. It's very simple. Like a company which is making cars, like in a company who is in UK, and they are manufacturing car. Fine. They manufactured car in UK and sold it also in UK. Simple. Assume there is a company ABC Limited in UK which manufactures car and sold it in UK only. There is no sale in India. Clear? But all the parts, etc., are manufactured in UK except the tires. They open a unit in India only for the manufacturing of tires for that car. The tires have been manufactured over here and they have supplied to that company in UK. They are not selling that tires also in India. They are not selling that car in India. They are not selling tires in India. The tires are only manufactured in India and it is going to the UK. The tires is going to be assembled in that car and then the car is going to be sold off. So assume by selling of that car, the company earn a profit of, assume 10 crore rupees in UK. Now, income tax of India say we need tax on that 10 crore rupees, 10 profit, because if you do not have tires, what is the benefit of a car? So we are the one who actually here in India, you technically made that part which is most important for that car. So the provision says no. If only some activities have been carried out in India for some business operations, then only that consideration, the income which can be treated as deemed to arise will be only that amount which is reasonably attributable to the operation. For example, the tire costing is only 2% of the car. The tire costing is only 2% of the total value of car. So the amount of 10 crore rupees profit, we cannot assume that as a deemed to arise in India. We can ask 10 crores 2%, only 10 crore 2% as the income deemed to arise in India. And we can ask tax on that. Why we need to ask tax on that? Because he was using our resources in India. He was working in India, he used our labor, etc. So for that reason only, department says if not all the operations are carried out in India, that only such reasonable portion need to be taxable as income deemed to arise in India. Okay. Purchase of goods in India for export. If someone comes to India and purchase goods for export, he is not selling into India anything. He is just purchasing the goods in India. In that case also, like this, Mr. A from UK comes to India . Sorry, my drawing is not good. So let's better assume this is India. Okay. So he comes to India and he purchased from India shoes from Mr. B of 10 crore rupees. Clear? He purchased from India shoes 10 crore rupees and he sold those shoes for 18 crore rupees in USA and technically earn a profit of 6 crore rupees. Do not think if he purchased in 10 crore and sold in 18 crore, then why not profit is 8 crore, sir? Why it is 6 crore? Because there might be all other expenditure also for salary, freight, etc. So we are assuming the profit is 6 crore. Okay. So income tax of India cannot ask tax on this. You cannot ask if fine, we supplied your shoes, so you should pay tax on this. This is deemed to arise in India. No. In case of manufacturing, because he used the resources in India, so we can ask for some part as a deemed to arise. But in case of trading, it's not allowed because he technically paid 10 crore rupees to Mr. B. So Mr. B income is automatically increased by 10 crore. And he's in India, so he will pay tax in India, of course. So you have no right because this is purchase, not sale. So he does an expenditure. So if anyone who purchased something from India and earned profit out of that purchase by selling it outside India, In that case, you cannot treat any income of Mr. A as deemed to arise in India, because he has already contributed to India 10 crore rupees to Mr. B, and he will be paid tax on that the profit arise from these sale. So in case of purchase, it's not allowed. In case of trading, it is not allowed. But in case of manufacturing, you can tax some part of the income. Next is very simple: collection of news and views in India for transmission out of India. If there's some news agency, etc., non-resident who comes to India and collect news and views but does not telecast it in India, all the telecast and transmission has been done outside India. So he does not earn any income from that documentary, etc., from Indian people or Indian company. So that is not going to be taxable. If transmission is out of India, that is not going to be taxable. In the same case, shooting of cinematographic film in India. If some directors come to India, and if he's a non-resident, and if he shooting done is in India and the movies is released outside India, whatever he has made, he released outside India, then we cannot ask that income is deemed to arise in India unless otherwise some specific condition has been fulfilled. What are the conditions? It says, if this is for movie shooting, for news provision, that is a separate provision. This is for movies, etc. In case of movies shooting in India and release, if they release in India, that's a direct income, that's going to be taxable. But if it is released outside India, then not deemed to arise if they fulfill following condition. These are the conditions they need to fulfill. If they fulfill this condition, the income they earn for releasing it outside India, that is not going to be taxable in India. The condition number one: if the owner, if the producer, if the producing company is an individual. If the owner, that means the producer, that is an individual, then he should be a non-resident in India as well as non-citizen. Both conditions should be fulfilled. He should be in India as a non-resident in that previous year and also non-citizen. If it is a citizen of India, then the income he arrives outside India might also going to be taxable. If it's a partnership firm, that producer company is a partnership firm, then all partners must be non-resident plus non-citizen. Even if one partner become resident or citizen, then the income is going to be taxable in a specific way. And if it's a company, then all shareholders must be non-resident plus non-citizen. So if these conditions fulfill, the income they are earning after releasing it outside India is not going to be as a deemed to arise in India. And if it does not fulfill any of this condition, then the income shall be called as deemed to arise from India. And that is going to be taxable implication, of course. So this was the point number 4. In case of shooting, you can read it out. So in case of business connection, we have just read it out for the kind in the cases when the business will be treated as deemed to arise in India. There are some exceptions also, like news agencies, like shooting of movies, etc. Now we're moving on to income from house property. If your house property is situated in India, then any rental income is called deemed to accrue arise from India. Very simple, it's done. In case of capital asset, like capital gain cases, capital gain arising through the transfer of a capital asset situated in India would be deemed to accrue arise in India in all cases, irrespective of fact whether the capital asset is mobile, immobile, the place of registration of documents, the place of payment of the consideration. So you will better understand the concept of point number C and D when you will read these chapter, income from house property, income from capital gain. Then you will get to know what exactly the meaning of these are, capital asset, etc. Income under the head salary, it says salary for leave period. If you are working in India and getting some salary, and then for some duration you went outside India, like for 3 months you went outside India, like for 4 months you went outside India on leave, and if any salary has been paid during that leave also, that is called paid leave. If you're very important employee of a company, and you say, okay, I am going for a leave for 4 months, but I will do work in your company only when you will pay me for the leave period also, and company is agree for that. In that case, that leave period salary will also be treated as deemed to arise in India. Why it's deemed to arise in India? Because you are technically not working. So how you can say it's earned? Because you did not work, you are on leave. So department consider it as a deemed to arise in India. And even you are receiving that salary outside India. So that technically not received in India also. So generally what happened, employee tries to manipulate, employee try to avoid tax, do this practice, that they took the salary in India also, and then they went outside India on leave for 5 months or 8 months and getting salary there also. So if this point is not there, then because they are not working, so that means that income is not arise in India. And because they are earning in receiving salary outside India, so technically they are not received in India also. And this practice is done only by those employees, those are non-resident. Because if you are a resident, you have to pay tax wherever receive, wherever earn. But if you are a non-resident, then some non-resident try to escape from tax. Do this practice that for some period they went on a leave, and at that time, whatever salary they got, that is technically not arise in India, not received in India. So they might get the benefit to avoid tax. But because of insertion of this section, because the insertion of this point, now they cannot do so. Now the leave period salary will be assumed as deemed to rise in India. And if it is deemed to rise in India, that technically means you have to pay tax on it, whether you are a resident, ordinary, not ordinary, or non-resident. So that is very important point. Any income under the head salary for services rendered in India shall be income deemed to accrue or rise in India if any salary payable for the leave period, which is both preceded and succeeded by your service, in India will also be regarded as salary deemed to accrue or rise in India. Salary payable by government, if you are a Indian citizen, salary received by a citizen of India from the government of India outside India is deemed to accrue or rise in India. Citizen of India, government of India, and outside India. Why it has been made? It says that if government employee, short form of employee, EE, those are citizen of India. Like Indian ambassador, ambassador has been appointed outside India. Like citizen of India, they have appointed outside India for say in Japan. So Mr. A has been appointed on behalf of government in Japan. So technically he will work over there. So what is the residential status? That will be non-resident, of course, because he will be staying in Japan. So technically, generally what they will be technically non-resident. So if you are a citizen of India, if you are a government employee, and you might be getting salary, of course, outside India. Salary is technically aggregate of three terms. You will, of course, going to study these three terms in detail when you will read chapter salary. Fine. So one component is basic salary. One is called allowances. Those are monetary payments, of course. And one is perquisites. These are non-monetary payments, perquisite, facilities, benefits. Fine. So this the total aggregate of this is called technically salary. Fine. So he is getting that salary outside India. So technically he's a non-resident. Now understand, he's a non-resident. His income is earning outside India because he's working in Japan. He's receiving that salary also outside India. So for a non-resident, if he's earn any income outside India or received outside India, is it taxable? No. But the special provision has been made. Government say you are our employee. You are a citizen of India and you are working on our behalf. So your salary will be treated as deemed to arise in India. And due to it is deemed to arise in India, this is going to be taxable. So that is salary paid by government. Next is income from other source. In case of income from other source, if you are getting any dividend interest paid by domestic company, understand, domestic company outside India, that is called deemed to arise in India. If you're getting any dividend or interest paid by domestic company, whether in India or outside India, so if you're receiving it outside India, that will be called deemed to arise in India. It should be paid by domestic company, remember. If you are getting any royalty income or fees or interest income received from the following person, that is also going to be treated as deemed to arise. If you are a non-resident, those are outside India or wherever. But if you are receiving interest income, fees income, or royalty income from government, whether the central state government, that income will be treated as your deemed to arise income. Or if you are paying, the person who is paying, whether it's a resident or non-resident in India, if that money borrowed, royalty or service used in India, then also that royalty income or fees or interest will be treated as your deemed to arise income. Let me explain you short. Okay. It says, assume Mr. A, he is a non-resident. He is getting royalty income from India, or fees from India, or interest from India. Obvious, royalty he is getting because of some copyright, etc., patent or lease he has been given into India. That's why, due to that lease or that copyright, he is getting royalty. Fees because he provides some services into India to someone, and interest because he provides some loan to someone. So the provisions say if these have been paid by government, state or central to that person, Mr. A, if government takes some copyright or lease from Mr. A, some kind of technical, etc., services from Mr. A, or some loan, and if government paying that, then that income will be treated as deemed to arise. And because it's deemed to arise for Mr. A, that is going to be taxable. So if these payment has been paid by central or state government of India, then in that case, the royalty, fees or interest he is getting, that will be considered as technically his deemed to arise income. But if this has been paid by any other person, that means he has given some copyright to other than government, whether it's a resident or non-resident, or services to other person or loan to other person. In that case, if these are used, what has been used, that lease or service or loan, if these have been used in India, that person that used that in India, then the royalty, fees or interest he is getting will be called deemed to arise and going to be taxable for Mr. A. And if these things has been used outside India, then that royalty, fees and interest will not be called as deemed to arise and going to be non-taxable. Let me give you a very simple example. For example, Mr. B of India takes 50 lakh rupees loan from Mr. A for his business. He used that 50 lakh in his business, which is in India. Then the interest, assume 10 lakh rupees paid by Mr. B on this loan will be treated as deemed to arise to Mr. A, and that is going to be taxable for Mr. A. But if that loan amount has been used by Mr. B in his business, which is in technically in Bangladesh, not in India. So he used that 50 lakh rupees in Bangladesh business and then pay interest of 10 lakh rupees to Mr. A. Now that 10 lakh will not be treated as deemed to arise income because that amount has not been used in India. It might be happen that 20 lakh used in India and 30 lakh used in Bangladesh. Then the proportionate interest on 20 lakh rupees, only that is going to be taxable as income deemed to arise from India of Mr. A. So if Mr. B takes some services from Mr. A and pay that, then we will see that service has been used in India or not. If used in India, then the fees paid by Mr. B will be treated as deemed to arise in India. Simple. Now, what is the meaning of deemed to received in India? We are almost ending this topic because it's just, we will start MCQ in 2 minutes. Income deemed to received in India, you will understand when will you read in that topic in future chapters, like annual accretion in contribution to RPF. In case of PPF, RPF, that amount is treated as your deemed to received income. And that you will come to know in your salary chapter. That will be come in your salary chapter. So that income will be called deemed to receive. Why it is deemed to receive, you will understand when you will read the concept of RPF in your salary chapter. Again, the deduction 80 CCD, that's called the pension scheme. That is also considered as your deemed to receive. For that, you need to understand the provision of 80 CCD. That is going to be discussed in your deduction chapter. So we cannot make understand these concepts over here. TDS is also be treated as deemed to received income. Why it is deemed to receive? You will get to know when you will study TDS topic. In this topic, you only understand the provision of section point number 4, and that is section 68, 69, 69A, B, C. That is also be treated as your deemed to received income. So these are black money cases, what we have discussed, and all black money income is treated as deemed to received in India technically. 69D also, of course. So this is we already discussed. So in that case, we can say these are the provision which are known as deemed to receive. So point number 1, 2, 3, you will get to know when you will read those topics. This is a fourth point we have already discussed in basic concept. And these relate to your black money concept. So your black money is always treated as deemed to received also. Test and knowledge question, we have considered 1 and 2. Question number 3, I want to tell you some actually important points so you will not get confused. So in question number 3, you have to calculate the income liable to tax on the basis of incidence of tax. So if somebody is resident, then you know all incomes are taxable. If these are resident but not ordinary, then we need to taxable only those income which are arise in India, received in India, and control from India. And if somebody is non-resident, then all are going to be taxable. So solution is below, but point number 8 and 9, there is something which I need to tell you. Point number 8 is called agricultural income. So in the solution, you won't find this 55,000 and 45,000. They did not consider it, even if that is in Andhra Pradesh, because agriculture income is non-taxable, that is exempted. So because that is exempted, that's why we did not consider it in the solution also. Clear? In the same way, point number 9 is rent received in respect of house. That is 1,60,000. In the solution, we take only 70% of these value. That is 70,000, and 70% of 60,000, that is 42,000. Because this is belongs to income from house property chapter. Income from house property says that in case of rental income, we take only 70% as your income. So because you did not read chapter income from house property, so you might get confused where that 70,000 and 42,000 came. So do not get confused. The provision will be discussed in detail when you will read chapter income from house property. For time being, I told you, in case only 70% consider as your income. So you won't find the 1 lakh over there. You can see the solution. Agriculture income is not there, and the provision of house property is only 70,000 and 42,000. So again, the question number 5, the first point says salary is 7 lakh rupees, but in solution they take 6,50,000 because under salary head there is a 50,000 standard deduction also. So we take salary for income tax purpose, whatever you are having your salary, that is 50,000 deduction. After that deduction, again you will get that when you will study salary chapter. So do not get confused. 6,50,000. In case of post office, there is an exemption also, so partly taxable. So those I have marked as yellow. That means they have special provision which you will get to know when you will read future chapters, of course. So do not take tension. And this is like thank you, and my favorite quote, that is revise twice. That's my advice to make you wise. So let's get ready for your MCQs on residential chapter topic. I hope you all are ready. Let's see. Those are ready, and I'll take queries before the MCQ I start. Let me take the queries, then I'll start your MCQ test for 10 minutes. Okay, so somebody's asking something. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Vedant is asking, sir, what if an Indian company have place of effective management outside India? Vedant, let me tell you, Indian companies are always resident. There's a fixed rule that Indian companies are always resident. So we do not need any POEM concept for Indian companies. Okay. So they are always resident. Let's leave it. So foreign companies just need POEM. Navneet saying, I want to do CA articleship from US. That's why I want to study for AIR1. That's my dream. I hope your dream comes true. So that's the, if you want to fulfill your any dream, any dream, then you can, of course, just need to do one thing. Study nicely, study sincerely, study hard work, and you will get whatever you want. Okay. So you might have seen there are two chartered accountants who was in Shark Tank and they are doing a business and they are like billionaire, like Mr. Aman Gupta. He's chartered accountant, and that pharma madam, of course, she's also chartered accountant. The father of Mr. Piyush Bansal, he's also chartered accountant. So you can see, chartered accountant does not mean they just only do job or practice. They can do anything. And you know, in ministries also, there are a lot of chartered accountants who are working with the government also. So you can fulfill any dream if you just study. How difficult it is. Imagine a person who is working for morning 10 to 8, physical labor they are doing, the children who are doing physical labor in some hotel, restaurants, or on a road, etc. They are not that privileged, and you have all the facilities. You just need to study and just make a plan. Just make a plan, you will clear your CA, of course. Okay, see, sir, I need my identity with full respect and I want to help others to go. Very good. Nice work. Work for 2 days with parents, you will automatically motivate students. Okay, great. Your story, please. I told you my story, of course, Poojas, that you are inspirational for all of us. You all are inspiration for each other. Fine. There I am. You will be there after some years, of course. So it's good. Problems, Mr. Renuka is asking, so problem always be solved on the basis of assessment year 22-23 and previous year 21-22? Yes, of course. In every question, if it's asking solve any question, then you have to apply it only for previous year 21-22, or we can say assessment year 22-23. If in question somebody is asking also answer 23-24, etc., even if we will answer on the basis of the provision, we are reading for previous year 21-22. Okay. Okay, motivation. Okay, in addition, Vivek asking, in addition, condition 6.6, can we write condition like 730 days or more in 7 previous year and 2 years or more in 10 previous year for all types of person? No. Look, practically when you are solving it, you can solve it by any method. The answer will be same. Whether you are taking less than 730 or 10 out of 9, or you are taking 730 or plus and 10, 2 out of 9, the answer will be same. But in examination, if examiner asks you, explain the provision regarding HUF for ROR or NOR, then you have to write that 2-year concept and 730 or more. And if he's asking solve the question for individual as a theoretical mode, then you have to answer that kind of answer, that is 730 less than 730 and 9 out of 10. So I prefer you should read both of it. For numerical question, you can solve it in either way, the answer will be same. Okay, fine. For companies, there is a clarification where I guess I missed in the notes, but they have already written it. In case of companies, all the branches and subsidiary status will be same as the head office or the holding company. So if your holding company is a resident, then all the other subsidiary will also be treated as resident. If you're a head office resident, then all branches will be treated also as resident. Vandana asking if work from in India, example 3 you give is income earned in or outside India. If you are working from in India, that means you are working or you are raising your income from India only. If you work from home and you are in India, that will be treated as your income is earning in India. Okay. If he came to it for a week or two in second year in USA, will be called a non-resident. If somebody is coming to India, then you have to check it out whether he is fulfilling condition basic or special anyone. If he's not fulfilling it, then it will be called a non-resident. Okay, Navneet. If in next year person comes to meet only for a few weeks, it depends upon the day. If the day condition is not satisfied, like he's not more than 182 days or he's not deemed resident, not 60 plus 365 days, then until he's not fulfilling those conditions, then he or she will remain non-resident. Okay, Sandeep, okay, salary received in area. Okay, Miss Shant Shri Maharana, okay. If any salary is received in area, will it be included in income of the person in that financial year? Like area of salary, advance salary, etc. These concepts will fall in the chapter of salary. Area of salary technically include in your income, but there is a relief also, section 89(1) that will be discussed when the salary chapter will be taken by some faculty or depend upon who is going to take it. So that question not relates to our technically topic, that will be dealt in salary chapter. Okay, Karthik Delhi, please correct if I understood wrongly that if I have a business which is run from India but outside India, and income from it is received and arise outside India. In this case, my income is taxable, is running from India. And in another scenario, if you are running your business, you have a main business in India, and you have like your branches in outside India, then technically your status will be checked. And if you are an ordinary resident because you are in India, then all income is going to be taxable. The business situated in India is automatically going to be taxable for you. But if I am employed in a company which is controlled from India but is outside India, and I am earning and receiving outside India, then also my income will be taxed. Yes, if that any company you are working which is controlled by India, then your salary is going to be taxable only if you are a ROR or you are a RNOR. But if you are an NR, then that salary is not going to be taxable. Your status will matter, not the organization. Fine. Yes, Siddharth is telling me the name of that tele-shopping company, Naptol. Yeah, Naptol came and they sell something. So there are technically no agency, no branch, no subsidiary of any company for the product are selling. They are just like a, you can say, order receiving company. This is receive order and deliver it to you. So that income earned by them on behalf of the manufacturer, again, if the manufacturer gets this income, whether in India or outside India, that will be called deemed to rise in India. Sahil Wala is saying, sir, good morning, take my name. Okay, Mr. Sahil Walia, good morning, I took your name. Okay. Sir, if Indian company have branches outside India, okay, I just told you, if you have your head office is resident, then all the branches you have also, that also be considered as resident. And I have subsidiary. If a foreigner working in Indian subsidiary, but salary is getting from parent company and receiving in outside India. So if that foreigner is a non-resident, that is foreigner working in India subsidiary, but salary is getting from parent company and receiving in India. For a non-resident, only those income is taxable. Those are arise or received in India. So if a non-resident getting salary outside India, so it does not matter that the parent company is an Indian company, because that is not going to be taxable. Kanishk asking, is concept of agriculture same as it in GST? No, that's very different. Income from house property taxable only 70% of your rental income. That you will come to know in detail when the chapter will come. For the time being, I just told you that because you not get confused when you solve the question. So in some question, the area I marked yellow, that means they are connected with the future topic also. So do not get confused when you did not find the amount what you expected in your answer. Vedant sir, you are just awesome. Yes, I am awesome. You all are awesome. Everybody's awesome. Okay. Saurabh asking, pension receipt, pension outside India from an employment completed in India, will it be deemed? Yes, because the pension receiving from India, that is going to be treated as deemed to rise in India, that is going to be taxable because the person is paying that is from India. Financial association means, I have just explained it. Mr. A is who is asking, Rajini is non-resident who reside outside India, but an interest income of 10 lakh which is paid by Mr. B, who is resident of India, 10 lakh is deemed to be, yeah, of course, the interest income, whatever will arise by the lender, that is going to be deemed to arise in India. Income is due to projects of infrastructure of India, that income is received outside India, that income also taxable. Shahnawaz, income received, where the income is received. If the income is received in India, that is going to be taxable. Or whatever is the reason, it does not matter. Okay, now I guess we should go for MCQ test because that will be really, we will be really late if we did not do that. Okay, so if there's some remaining query, I'll try to answer after MCQ or I'll answer in the next session also. So get ready for the MCQ test. I hope you all are ready. So this is test number 3. Akhilesh asking why you are not taking all the tax lecture, that will decide by board of study. You have a feedback form, always give your feedback after your for the faculty, etc. They might get consider it, but because whatever the board of study will decide, that is the final decision. But whatever you want to say about your faculty, you should fill the feedback form also. So I guess you all are ready for our MCQ test. This is chapter 2 MCQ test, and I'm going to ask one by one. This is our test number 3, and this is question number 1 for you. Under the Income Tax Act 1961, the total income of each person is taxed on the basis of his. So send me your correct answer as soon as possible. So question number 1, you have to answer. As I told you, kindly please mention the question whenever you're answering, like question 1, then write the option. So I will understand for which question you are technically answering it. So what is the correct answer of question number 1? Do it fast, easy. It's an easy question. You should do it fast, very fast. So question correct answer is, somebody says B, Chaitanya Sharma, do not do this. I am Ankit Sharma, you are Chaitanya Sharma, don't do this. Okay. So the correct answer is of course C, the status of previous year. That is the basis on which total income of person is going to be taxable. The correct answer is C. Moving on to question number 2. Taxpayers are classified into how many broad categories on the basis of their residential status? Shashank said correct. Question number 1C. Khushi was correct in question number 1. Shraddha is also correct in question number 1. Vivek also correct, of course, very nice. Rajni is also correct. And Vikas Kumar also correct. Miss Shant Shri also correct. Subhobal saying D, wrong. It's a previous year status we need to check. Fine. Dubey Sunil is correct in question number 1. Chaitanya Sharma was incorrect in question number 1. Then Ramakrishna is correct in question number 1. Patel Mitali was wrong in question number 1. Vedant was wrong. Sonal was correct. Very nice, very nice. Let's move on to question number 2. What is the correct answer of question number 2? Okay, somebody say B option. Abhishek. Rajni is saying 3. Shraddha Dikshit is saying C. Harsh Goyal C. Abhay Shah C. Okay, Subhobal is C. Siddharth is all again C. The correct answer is C. That's a 3 broad categories, and it has been specifically mentioned in notes. That is a 3 category. There's a resident, ROR, and NOR, and then non-resident. Question number 3 for you. To claim the status of not ordinary resident for individual. Read it carefully. It's not that easy. It's a tricky question. You should read it carefully. To claim the status of not ordinary resident. If you want to become a not ordinary resident, then what you need to fulfill? Which is the option is correct. It's a very good question. I need answer of question number 3. Fast, do it fast. Question number 3. What is the correct answer? Anyone? Question number 3. What is the correct answer? 7 more questions after this. Then I'll complete my session today, of course. So question number 3, somebody said D, somebody said B, Niveda is saying D, Sangeeta saying A, Vedant is B, Prince B, Vedant B, of course, Khushi is B, Abhay is saying D, Akhilesh, please mention the question number, of course, Akhilesh. Navneet is saying A, Vivek is saying B, Rekha is saying B, somebody is saying A, Janapati Nanda Goyal is saying B, and then Akash Navlani is saying C. Okay, Divya from Mumbai is saying C. Okay, Rajani is saying C, and Vashant Kumar is saying C. So the correct answer is B. It's a very good question. Understand what I am saying. Understand. To claim the status of NOR, you have to be a resident first. That's why then only you become a not ordinary resident. So you have to fulfill one of basic condition, either 182 or 365 and 60 days. And after becoming a resident, those additional conditions we learn to becoming a RNOR. Those out of 4 conditions, at least you fulfill 1 condition. So you have to fulfill 1 basic condition and 1 additional condition to becoming a not ordinary resident. A is incorrect, C is incorrect, and D is also incorrect. So in MCQ, you should also see that in some MCQ, you might not getting the exact correct answer. In that case, you have to opt that option, which is most, we can say, relatable to the answer, which is not absolutely correct, but which is most appropriate for the answer. But in this question, it is specifically written that 1 basic and 1 additional you should fulfill. So correct answer was B in case of question number 3. You guys are well done. Very nice. You are doing a good job. Question 4. Among us the following, which is the basic condition to identify the residential status of the individual? Again, it's very, very tricky. Please read it carefully and then only answer it. I do not want any wrong answer. I want each and every one of you should send me the correct answer. It's very, very tricky question. So question number 4. Except study, I suggest you should all do your articleship also very sincerely. That will really help you in future after becoming a CA. Your articleship does matter for your practice or your job, whatever field you choose actually. And you technically experience a corporate behavior or professional behavior. You develop that behavior also during your articleship. So please do not take your articleship lightly. Whenever you are joining or going for an articleship, just go for a sincere articleship. You should give your time to your articleship. You will, as sincerely you are doing your study, as same sincerely you should done your articleship. Like from my office, almost 18 articles has become chartered accountant. So, and I believe those were actually sincere. They have more probability to becoming a chartered accountant in comparative to those are not sincere in your studies as well as your articleship. That's also an advice from my side, that you should join your articleship and complete it very sincerely. So question number 4. Okay, somebody is giving answer A, somebody is saying A. Oh, somebody is saying D. Kumbu Dorji is saying no. Mr. Kumbu Dorji from Bhutan, no. The correct answer is, of course, A. Among us the following, which is the basic condition to identify the registrators? Person must be in India for or more 182 days in the previous year. That we all know is the correct. And you might be feeling that B is also correct. But in B, I have changed something. That is, person must be in India for more. I have changed it into less. I've just changed it because I want to make that tricky. You might not get that. Less. It was more than 60. So this is a wrong condition, because it should be more than 60 and 365 or more. So that's why you might be confused. You might be feeling A and B both is correct. So somebody is answering D. No. The correct answer is A, because B is the wrong condition. I manipulated it. Okay. So correct answer is condition number A. Very nice. A lot of students giving me the correct answer. That's really nice. Next question number 5. This is a numerical question. Do it fast. Sudeep is a foreign citizen. His father was born in India in 1961 and mother was born in USA in 1960. His grandfather was born in Kanpur in 1929. Sudeep visited India to see Taj Mahal. He came to India on 10/12/2021 for 200 days. He has never came to India before. His residential status for assessment year 22-23 will be. So is a special case is applicable or not? You have to see, then you will find the basic condition has been fulfilled or not. Do it fast. We are already, it's 10:05. I just want to end it as soon as possible. So I'll answer it very soon. I'm giving you 30 seconds to answer it. I know it's a short time, but we have to fulfill it. So imagine a simple thing. He visited India for 200 days. So whether he is applicable for any benefit, so he is a foreign citizen. He's not an Indian citizen. His grandfather was born in Kanpur in 1929. So he's a person of Indian origin. So if a person of Indian origin comes to visit, then what happens? Only first condition need to be checked. That is 182 days condition need to be checked. So is he fulfilling condition number 1, 182 days or more in previous year? Anybody answered me question? Okay, somebody say Parth say B point. Vikas also saying B. A lot of saying B. And let me tell you, the correct answer is A, non-resident. Here where you all get confused. Examiner will trap you. You are just taking this thing. You're not getting examiner is smarter than you. You all thinking he's coming for 200 days. That means he's more than 182 days. So he is a resident. Here you are mistaken. You're not understanding he's coming on 10/12/2021. And we have to check this condition up to 31st March 22. So if he is coming on 10th December 21 and he's staying, we need to check 182 days up to 31st March 22. So you just saw that 200 days and assume he's fulfilling this condition. That is wrong. There we just mistake and we lost our marks. So from December, you have to calculate it like this. December have 31 days and we have to consider 10 also. So 22 days of December, then January, then February, and then March. Out of these 200 days, he is in India up to 31st March 22 for these days 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now 3, 9, 10, 112 days. Only for 112 days out of these 200 days. For 112 days, he's in India for this previous year, and balance days he was in India for next previous year. That is not in our question. So we need to answer on the basis of this. So he is not fulfilling this condition. So he will be a resident in India. That's what I'm saying. Be careful when you need to answer some question. Okay. I hope you understand what was I trying to say. Okay. Next question number 6. Very nice. Somebody said question number Dubey is for saying A. That was very nice. Correct answer. Those given question, fifth answer is correct. That is really brilliant. High five from my side. Wi-Fi. Okay. That's a high five from Wi-Fi. Next question number 6. The following additional condition are to be satisfied by a person to be resident and ordinary resident. I'll upload these question with answer also on portal after our class, but I need to do it hurry because time is getting passed away. Question number 6. The correct answer is 7. I'm telling the correct answer right away. You can try it later because time is actually over. Question number 7, correct answer is C. I'll upload the notes with answer. You can check it out and please try this question. If there's any problem, I'll tell you query, of course. I'll solve it in the next session. Question 7, correct answer is C. Question number 8, correct answer is A. You might not have time to see the question, so you can scroll back the video and see the question. So question correct, 8 answer is A. Question number 9, you can pause the video later and you can see the question and then you can answer. Question number 9, correct answer is B. And question number 10, correct answer is A. Fine. So we have done all the MCQ. So you all should try this question, find the answers, and if there's any problem, I'll solve it for you. So we will have our last session, my last session on day after tomorrow, on 24th of February, and then we'll take chapter number 3, that is income exempt from tax, including section 10AA. It's a huge topic again, and we have to complete it in a single session. So work hard, and we'll meet soon after day after tomorrow. And always remember, revise twice. That's my advice to make you wise, and you will be a chartered accountant very soon. Take care, have a good day, and work hard.